Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Game Junction Podcast. We're here for episode 113. How's it going this week, Mark?
Not too bad. Hopefully that doesn't mean it's bad luck. 113? 13?
Yeah, hopefully that's not bad luck. We don't need no bad luck around here.
We got enough of that already. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Don't need any of that. Yeah, so we obviously this is right after Christmas. So how was your Christmas, man?
Quiet, not too bad for the most part. I can't complain.
Any cool Pokemon pools? You told me you were gonna be open up some cards.
For the most part, nah, not really.
Ah, man.
Going through reorganizing some stuff, but I had a few neat ones because I had all of the. I don't think I pulled them. I think I already had them. I think I pulled one or two, but and I can't remember what set this is for. It might be Crown Zenith, but I had all three full arts of the. Oh, what is it called now? Oh,
the Unholy Trinity, right? I was gonna tell you, Josh in our Discord and in the Game Junction Lounge stuff, he pulled this card this week. I think he sent this to me on Christmas.
I can't really see what that is.
It's Carmine, card 217 for. This is for Twilight Masquerade. It's worth $68 raw. 140 PSA 10. So I mean, it's pretty good. That's a pretty dang good pull.
Yeah, it might have been just plain Scarlet and Violet. I gotta double check. I think it was Scarlet and Violet.
Tell you what I pulled on TCG Pocket. I pulled this Mew, and then I pulled Celebi. Still missing the one Mew, but I pulled
Celebi's a good Pokemon to use if you can set it up properly.
So what's funny is that my three favorite Pokemon are Gardevoir, Celebi, and Mew. Those are my three favorite Pokemon. Have been forever.
Sorry, I forgot. So it was in the base set for Scarlet and Violet. It's the Hurles, 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥 full art, and then
Hurles?
Gardevoir EX full art.
No way.
Essentially, those three art cards essentially tell a story.
Is it? What? Do you have it in like where you can grab it? Is it around you anywhere? I would love to see that because Gardevoir is my favorite. Yeah, anyway, so it was a pretty good Christmas. You know, just chilled with the family, stuff like that. It was a good time. A pretty good time. No gaming pickups or anything. But I did get I already showed some of the stuff from Mark, so that was in the Anime Junction cast, so you can watch that over there. Go over there to the YouTube on the Junction Network, and you can check that out. Good stuff there. I did pull, for our audio listeners, I apologize, but it is the gold Mew again today. So it's one of the hard cards to get in the set. I can't seem to get the second Mew EX, so that's below this one. Can't seem to get that one. Pulled this one twice. Pulled the other Mew 5 times. I pulled it 5 times, so I pulled 7 Mews, but I can't get the one Mew EX that's below the gold card.
Yeah. So this was the base set for Scarlet and Violet Pokemon card. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it. It's not the best because my camera doesn't want to auto zoom.
I do see Ralts in the picture. Let's see. Yeah, for our audio listeners, this is Ralts.
So it's the first one with Ralts, and the girls like they're unpacking. Then it goes to 𝐒𝐤𝐚𝐥, young adult has
𝐁𝐫𝐚𝐧𝐝,
stuff like that. 𝐁𝐿𝐴, sorry, my bad. And then it's like a whole set, and then
that's really rad.
Gardevoir EX where it's
I need that card.
But now they're older, kind of like grandparents and stuff like that.
That's my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's crazy you pulled this.
And they're not terrible cards. They're all like they're like $20 to $50 range or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
But I was thinking because I did like this set and I like the full art story. I was like, this might be the first ones that I actually send into an actual like proper grade.
You can
actually get these ones graded just to have them because I like these cards. Who knows what I'll actually.
Yeah, that's the thing about grading. It's like if it's something that you like and you want to hang on to and you don't want damage, it's good for you, not for the money aspect of it. It's good for you to have it protected.
It's either hit or miss because you're either going to grade a card that you really like because you like that Pokemon, or you're getting stuff graded because it's already a valuable card. But you can turn like a $200-$300 card into like a $500 to like $1,000 card if you're able to get like a PSA 10 or something like that.
My hope is that we get to be able to grade the TCG Pocket cards. That's what I keep hoping.
Because I do have it pulled up because I swapped over to using the pkm.gg to track all my cards and stuff like that. So you can track your collection, the percentage, and
Oh, that's
it
cool.
also tracks like the real-time price. But they also have a selection to track your Pokemon Pocket cards. Obviously, you have to go in and update it manually, but for the Mythical Islands, Genetic Apex, and the Promo A, you can go in and be like, you can track it on here as well.
Bro, I ain't tracking 1,200. I'm almost at 1,200 cards.
Eventually, the TCG Pocket's going to have trading.
Yeah.
And for those, ideally, because Genetic Apex, outside of like the full arts, just having like all the Pokemon, all 280 or 270 cards, like I'm a handful away.
Yeah.
Eventually, once you have trading, outside of the full art ones, the rare, just the hard pulls to get for just the base set, just to at least have one of every Pokemon. Those ones would be a lot easier because it's like I just need like one rare or something like that. One that's got a decent pull rate, but you just can't pull that exact one.
Have you pulled all 3 Mews in the new TCG Pocket set?
In the
I keep pulling I've pulled 5 of the Mew non-EX card, and I pulled 2 of the gold. But I haven't pulled the other one that's like the 𝐒𝐿𝐵 card. That's a regular EX card. Non-gold.
I'm pretty sure I'm missing the full gold one, the one that you pulled. I have to pull it up.
That'd be good for trading, because if you pull any more of the other one, then we could trade. Because I can't seem to pull that card. Look, I'm not ashamed. They had a holiday sale, and I bought some gold, and I ended up pulling that Mew. But then I pulled it again, which is frustrating because I can't seem to get the base EX one, the non-gold card. Which I kind of wish that they had done a gold 𝐒𝐿𝐵 as well.
Yeah, because I'm sitting on 67 out of 68, and I've got 8
what?
Of the rare ones.
How many?
I'm missing the 32, which is the Mew EX. I think that's the last base set one that I have. Because I have the
to see where I'm at.
So it's the one that's just the Mew. I've got 2 of those. And then I have the Mew EX,
yeah, that's the one I'm missing. That's
the psychic one.
Yeah.
And then I've got the Mew, the full art with the little stuff.
Yeah. I changed I unlocked, I pulled so many of those. If you pull 3 of them, you unlock the icon. So my icon's Mew now. If you pull 3 of those.
Oh, yeah. So I think I'm missing... Yeah, because I'm missing 2 Mews. One's the gold one you have, and then the last card I actually need to pull is the Mew EX out of the base set for the 68. Then I'll essentially at least have the set complete outside of some of the full art and some of the rare ones you got to pull. And then I'm missing a handful as well for Genetic Apex. I've got that one close.
Yeah, I've got less than 20 I need for that one. I'm trying to see how I find out that.
Yeah, I'm missing 3 specific Pokemon I still need from the Genetic Apex to unlock the secret Mew quest or something like that to get that Mew card out of that set.
Here's some of my pulls, because I got that. Some of my good pulls. Very hard to see you. Sorry for our audio listeners. I got the gold Charizard and the gold Mew.
Capture from your phone.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, I still need that Zapdos. I don't have that Zapdos yet because there's a quest right now for getting that Zapdos. But anyway, besides Pokemon TCG Pocket, we got some cool pulls from that. But
it's a fun little thing to do, especially with the current quest, where you're getting like free packets and free speed ups and stuff like that with the holiday stuff for the Mythic Island or whatever they're calling it.
I am paying for the premium pass again. I'm kind of ashamed of that.
I never stopped paying for it. It's like $10 a month.
You get 1 extra pull a day. I guess that's an additional like 30 packs, right?
Like 30 to 31 packs a month.
Yeah, that is quite a bit.
At the very least, if you're trying to actually complete a set, it's worth the money.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Especially if you think they're probably sometime in January going to drop the next new full set after Genetic Apex.
Is that the deal about it?
I don't know, but it's taken like a few weeks to get the bulk of those, but it's a significantly smaller set with like 70 cards. At least if you just want the one of any variant. But even with the special ones, the full art, whatever the proper term is for it, there's not a whole lot of them compared to the Genetic Apex, which is closer to a size of an actual, some of the actual, card sets.
Yeah.
Which can get pretty big, especially if you're trying to go after like some of the sets, if you're trying to go after like every single variant, there's like 400 some cards. But you got cards that either need special stamps or that you need to get from like a world tournament, or you have to be from it's like a promo, or you have to go to some GameStop or EB Games or something like that. So
I wonder if that's going to happen on TCG Pocket.
What do you mean?
Like go to a distributor and you can get this
They'd
special
have to
card.
update the app to be able to do something like that. I don't think there's a way to do it right now. I'd like to scan
Yeah.
like the QR code for Pokemon. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe,
something
but
like
I
that.
don't know.
Where you can get a
fully
card
digital.
there and get the QR code or something like that, and it's single use.
I mean, they kind of already do that with the regular Pokemon cards. I don't see why it would benefit them to do that.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough.
Especially if they're trying to keep profit in house. Because it's a mobile game, so
true. That is very true. But
most of the financial benefit from that is either cosmetics or speeding up the ability to buy unlocks for new cards.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm ready for the trading because obviously cards I need, I would love to get. I can't believe you're one away from finishing that set. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get such good pulls. Somehow you got like a Mew and Celebi in one day.
Well, anytime I do like a special event, whether it's the solo quest or the quests, any kind of quest you can do to get the little speed up icons to pull the 10, that's usually what I go after hard to pull those.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I think outside of the $10 a month, I've only spent like maybe once or I think it's like 2 times that I spent actual money to buy the speed up stuff, but.
Yeah, I think I'm
not trying to go out of my way.
I think I have twice as well. Like I said, they had a holiday sale, so I did the $10 and you get like 160 gold.
Yeah, but I
only did it because you get 60 extra gold. That's the only reason I did it. And I was like, that is a lot of gold.
But I'm like, I'm sitting on like 50 or 60 of the little hourglass thing already. So I'm like, whatever. It's like $5, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's usually more beneficial when you're still trying to build out a set. You still have quite a few cards you're missing. Once you're trying to like get down to 1 or 2, it's not worth it at that point. Like I'll just sit on the 3 pulls a day for the most part until I get the extra 10. It takes me like a week or 2 to get.
Yeah.
As well as because you have the mystery pulls. So the ones that I missed, I went through and I hearted them or for like wish listed them, so I know exactly when they pop up on the Wonder Trade stuff. So if I'm like, okay, I got that one, I might use a few speed ups for that to try to pull the one I'm looking for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I pulled a few things. I think I pulled 2 variants of the Lapras from the genetic Apex I was looking for.
Nice.
So I think I've got most. I'm sure there's like a full art Lapras, but as far as like all the base set Lapras and the Lapras EX, pretty sure I've got all those for the genetic Apex that I'm sitting on.
That's sick, dude. You get such good pulls.
It's RNG. It's just a matter of luck. It's like open regular packs of cards. You know you're going to get certain rarities, so after a while, the bulk of the cards, except for the actual hits, don't really mean a whole lot. But
yeah,
again, unlike the actual game, because obviously you get those points every time you open a pack, which you can then turn and buy cards, but I was just going to try to max it out the best I could to get the gold ones, because those are probably going to be the hardest the ones to actually pull in a pack.
Yeah. Somehow, I pulled those. I pulled that gold Charizard. I pulled it 4 times. Yeah. But there's a bunch of other, like, not a bunch of, I'm less than 20 away. I think I need 17 for the genetic Apex, or am I saying it right? Genetic Apex. It's the first.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Okay. For that one, I think I need 17. This new one, I still need like 22. I just keep pulling the same cards over and over and over, but we'll move on from that. Obviously you can find us on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, all of the usuals on social media all through the week. We are posting every single day. And then you also, if you want to, give us a follow over on or a subscribe over on the Junction Network YouTube. We have the Anime Junction Cast, and we also stream every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can catch us there playing a different game every week. We played everything from Call of Duty to what else have we played? We played all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think, what are we trying to play? Warhammer tomorrow?
I thought you said Sea of Thieves.
Is it Sea of Thieves? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I remember what we said.
Which I need to install, by the way. Because I'm probably going to try to do that on PC.
And I guess
this
I
time.
can put it out now, at least for those that are watching live. Because I didn't get a chance before we got live. Supposed to be streaming Sunday, but I had some stuff with work come up, so I'm not going to be able to stream this Sunday, which sucks. But I might try to stream New Year's Eve if I got the time to do that.
That'd be sick.
Kind of make up for it.
Okay, I have to put that out because I just put the schedule out.
Yeah, I found out today. I was like,
okay.
Drive somebody down to Salt Lake, and that's like that's 3 hours there, 3 hours back, so it's like a full day.
Yeah, it sucks. Okay.
That happens periodically. It's just one of those. I'm like, crap. I wasn't planning on having to do it. So
yeah, fair enough. Stuff happens. But yeah,
I think it's funny the fact that you didn't finish that title headline until like 15 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah, well, we got into TCG Pocket. This is what we do.
Yeah, wholesale the Pokemon because you brought up the cards.
I know.
TCG Pocket. I was like,
hey, what's up, Mr. Coffee over there on the YouTube? How's it going, man? Hope you had a great Christmas. Yeah, I hope it was a good time. Obviously, Happy New Year. Appreciate you coming to hang out. Oh my God.
I didn't. Nothing about the Christmas. It just remembered something. Have you had the chance to see and this came out like a few months ago, the Skyrim brain rot video on YouTube?
No, I have not. What's
There's like a part 1 and a part 2. It just goes over pretty much the introductory quest. Oh my God.
What? Okay, so what's the deal? What's the whole?
It essentially takes like Gen Z brain rot terminology and throws it into Skyrim with the actual voice.
Okay, I'm listening.
Like if you ever wanted to hear skibbity toilet and stuff like that, and Riz and stuff like that.
Never once in my life have I been like, hey, let's pick out.
Yeah, it was made by 𝐒𝐫𝐚𝐽. I guess Gen Alpha slang. It's so funny.
What's it called?
Like it kind of wakes up. Skyrim intro, but it's brain rot by 𝐒𝐫𝐚𝐽 over on YouTube. And it's so funny because it kind of starts off. It's like griddled right into that Imperial Mog, huh?
What the heck?
Same as us, that and that beta over there. Oh, it's so funny.
So random but hilarious. I love it.
Skibbity was fine until you riz along. Simpire was chill AF. Oh, it's so bad and funny at the same time. I think I died laughing watching.
So I've heard about Skibbity Toilet, but I never watched it. I don't think I want to, from what I've understand.
It's so relevant in internet slang at this point.
Thank God I'm not terminally online.
God. I don't know why that popped in my head when you said Christmas, but it did. Had no correlation.
Little different there, but I'll have to check it out. I got it saved. So, all right. So jump into news. There's a little bit of stuff that's going on with Rockstar Games. December 27th, they made a post, which was today, apparently sparked outrage. So they put, so here's the context of this news. Apparently there was supposed to be some kind of big news, supposedly. This is what was going around online. Grand Theft Auto fans have been expressing their disappointment on social media targeting the latest post from Rockstar Games. Instead of releasing a GTA 6 trailer, a second trailer, Rockstar Games instead tweeted out a reminder about the Rockstar holiday sale. So their tweet said, "This week is your last chance to save during the Rockstar Store holiday sale," where they're selling, obviously, digital copies of the games, as well as like hats and shirts and stuff like that. But apparently it was going around, there's supposed to be a second trailer that was supposed to come out, and that didn't happen. To help rub salt in the wound, if you add up the numbers in the shop link, they equate to 27. Yeah, so I don't know, what the deal is there. I wonder when we are going to get a second trailer for GTA 6, because obviously, whether me or you care about it or not, I'm sort of like, yeah, I'll definitely check it out for the channel, for stream, whatever.
Oh, it's gonna be a big game.
It's gonna be a mass. It's gonna probably be I think it's fair to say, probably the biggest game of all time, right? It's gonna be one of the biggest games ever. I mean, for a launch.
I mean, a lot of them are
probably the biggest game of all time. As far as the launch goes,
9-10 months at this point. Thinking sometime around fall next year. They said they did say 25, right?
Yeah, it comes out next year. As long as it doesn't get delayed.
It doesn't get delayed.
Yeah, which I'm not.
It's a possibility.
I definitely think there's a possibility that it gets delayed. For a game of this magnitude, if something goes wrong in development that we don't know about, all it takes is one day of wrong development where something goes wrong in coding, and it's like, oh, this is getting pushed out 3 months. That's all it takes. So I mean, I am still on the fence that it comes out, 2025, because being the magnitude of game that it is, all it takes is one little thing.
That is a good question. What do you think would be bigger, the Switch 2 launch or GTA release?
As much as I want to say a Switch 2 launch, I think probably GTA 6. I think Switch 2 is going to be massive. Don't get me wrong, but
You think the Switch is going to hit 10 million in its opening year?
It's such a tough question because the Switch is just, I mean, it has been so massive.
I mean, to be fair, this is an easy question because you're going to know based off sales really quickly how well each game does.
Obviously, the anticipation is bigger than I've ever seen for any console in my lifetime. The anticipation has been, I mean, literally, I have followed all these launches, everything since our lifetime.
Because I
remember following the launch for the GameCube and like, this is going to be huge, and it wasn't. And I thought it was. In my circle of people, it was big. Like you had one, Joey had one, like all our friends had one that was around us, and I thought it was big. I thought it was huge. But then you see the numbers, it's like, oh, this was a flop. Like we thought it was big in our circle, but it realistically it wasn't.
Sample size, the internet wasn't the same. I don't know. To be fair. Then again, the Switch itself is about to be the best-selling console of all time.
Yeah, it's very close.
Game even usually comes close to selling the number of sales as far as like consoles outside of like terrible console sales on cross-platform games.
I think it's fair to say that Switch 2 at least probably hits top 5. Whether it's going to surpass the Switch, I don't know. That's very hard because the Switch is still going to sell for the next 3
to Switch 2
possibly 5 years.
Even if the Switch were to hit at least 50% of what the Switch did, the Switch 2 does.
Yeah,
I think it easily outsells that. I think lifetime the Switch 2 will probably outsell it, assuming it's continue to get good games. It looks like they're already going to use the same infrastructure, and it doesn't have the flop that the Wii U did, which hopefully doesn't happen.
Sure.
I think lifetime it'll outsell. There's the chance just because you don't have the issue of hardware. As far as the game could say probably hit certain milestones faster. But I think as long as the console doesn't completely flop, lifetime it'll probably outsell it. Just because when you're dealing with a game like this, like a lot of the sales are just gonna be pure digital, which means you don't have that kind of problem as far as like limits on hardware. Like they can only produce so much hardware in a calendar year.
What's crazy is I've been to 4 different Walmarts this year. All are set up the same way. And this goes for Best Buy as well. Switch has the biggest presence physically out of all those consoles still. Switch has 3 cases, PlayStation has 2, Xbox has 1. And that's how it's been set up almost everywhere I've been.
Showcasing at my Walmart than it does at my GameStop. It's always in the game.
Yeah, the GameStop it is weird, isn't it? With GameStop
corner. And you can always find retro games and hardware, but the actual they keep in stock is like the PS4. There's like 3 times as many PS4 games as there are Switch games.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, that's weird. You're correct on the GameStop because my GameStop is like that too. It's just got a small section of like 3 shelving units.
But is that an issue of good third-party support? Because there's even there's first-party games on the Switch that I can't find hardly ever. Either that or they just sell it real fast.
What are you looking for? What would it be that I can think of?
I mean, just any mainline game, but there's older games. Like when I told you it was one of the Skyrim game, not one of the
Oblivion?
Zelda games.
Oh,
they did it with the where you played as every character. It's the
you're talking about Hyrule Warriors, yeah.
That first game, which launched on the Switch.
Yeah, I don't see that one ever.
But I can't even find the second Warriors game hardly ever.
Oh, Age of Calamity, really?
I don't see
That's weird.
Like a lot of Nintendo first party games. I don't really see a whole lot of them unless they're brand new releases.
Yeah, I will tell you,
older Switch games in stock.
They don't ever. It seems like they don't ever get, unless there's pre-orders. They like hardly ever get extras. That's the case for my GameStop. Like if you pre-order it, you'll get it. But it's like if you don't pre-order it, we might have it. We might not. If it gets traded in, we'll have it. But it's like
I'll talk my own GameStop, and they. For some stuff, it's like, we only ordered an extra 5 to 10 outside of what was pre-ordered, and usually those sell out fairly quickly, and then they just don't keep any first-party games in stock, which is like the frustrating part about the Switch.
Yeah, that is really frustrating. I don't know why that's the case.
The PlayStation always has the biggest number of games. It
always yeah.
I mean, the Xbox has a decent number, but obviously the PS4, the PS5 are, just have better games, and especially the PS4 just sold better.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I'm an Xbox fan, obviously talking Xbox here, but the thing is, the Xbox, I think the only reason it has more of a showing there is trade-ins. I feel like that's the only reason, because obviously there's a, you know, GameStop isn't. They might display a few Wii U games. They might display a few Wii games. Like mine has like 5 Wii games. But obviously they're not displaying GameCube. They're not displaying N64, Super Nintendo, NES. I have to ask.
Actually,
I have to ask behind the counter and say, "Hey, do you have any retro games?" They'll show me the retro games. Goes back to the DS and the Wii. That's it. They never have.
Yeah.
Never had anything GameCube. I know you have. But I'm just saying, my GameStop, I have not had anything. No NES, no Super Nintendo, nothing.
Because technically mine isn't classified as that retro, but I can still find a decent Wii, 360, PS3 games. And I actually saw 2 NES games, though they were the next NES games were the Home Alone games, so they were terrible games to begin with. But I periodically see they gotta always have a handful of 3DS, DS games like they always have. But they also, the 64 stuff. But I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're supposed to send those in, and they're supposed to go to the store, but they just keep them in store and just sell them there." That's how I, the 264 games that I picked up there.
Which is cool. I mean, that's cool. I love that when you send me the pickups for those, because I so wish you were able to get the analog 3D, because I'm like, now you're picking up the collection. I'm like, damn. Like, damn.
It'll come back around.
Yeah, hopefully it comes back around, because now you are picking up some retro stuff, which is cool. Mine is not classified as a retro store either.
But you can always find some stuff. Because it also comes on the heels of talking with, is it the limited run games partnering with GameStop?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense that GameStop needs to, because obviously they stock a lot of other stuff. But like probably going more into the collectibles, whether that's card stuff and more on the retro stuff, having a reason for people to come into the stores where they need to go. Because obviously, first-party consoles, at least we know like Microsoft and Sony are going to push the digital as hard as they can. But whether it's certain collectible stuff that has value or it's retro stuff, on all their stuff would be worthwhile. Because I mean, to be fair, retro stuff sells and card games sell as well, especially if they remodel their stuff to be like, hey, we've got valuable cards, because they're obviously GameStop is already advertising that, hey, we'll send in cards to PSA and stuff for you. So it feels like they're starting to go that route. It's just they're slow stepping it essentially.
Mr. Coffee brought up a really good point. He said ARMS is a hard game to find physical. You know what? I actually don't have that game. I played it.
That's the problem with Switch games that we talked about. Outside of launch, it's hard to find first-party games physical in the store. Buying them online is not a problem, but in the store, it's so frustratingly hard.
Yeah.
That for Switch games, they never keep them in stock.
Yeah, that's it. It's really weird. My only collecting goal for the Switch is to get all the first-party games, which is easily feasible. I mean, if I need to order online, then that's what ends up, having to happen. That's a feasible goal. Like super easy,
store, especially if you can get like a sale on it and stuff.
Yeah. And that's the case. And I mean, GameStop has a sale right now. Buy 2, get 1.
I think that's for used games usually, but at the very least, even if it's a first,
I don't care if it's used.
Game, as long as the package isn't destroyed, I'll
pick it up. It's got to have original packaging, otherwise I don't pick it up. But
and it's not like half ripped and destroyed in water damage.
Yeah,
it's got the game and the package.
Like this is obviously with a kid. Yeah, for sure. No, ARMS is a good mention, because I rarely see that in person.
Launched a few years ago.
Yeah, it was everywhere. It's a big game. It was a big launch. So he said mine has the typical same games you find at every thrift store. So yeah, that's interesting for sure. We've got, so apparently there's a report the PlayStation fans should be watching for January the 6th. The press conference was streamed online at January 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is during the Consumer Electronics Show 2025. I didn't realize that was so soon.
Yeah, it's like right around the corner.
Yeah, I had no idea until today.
Yeah, I could see this being more hardware than actual games.
Yeah, but what would the hardware be? The PlayStation 5 Pro just came out.
I don't know.
The new handheld?
Push it. That's possible. And you're just sitting here thinking, like, I just don't know what we don't already know about what's coming out next year for PlayStation games.
It says the PlayStation 5 Pro will likely be the start of the show, though some game announcements are also possible. It's like, CES is a weird one because it's a massive show, very big show.
It's general IT.
Yeah.
PC,
It's not
stuff.
like a video game show where like you expect major announcements. Yeah. This is more the tech side of things. So like you expect this to be more like hardware focused, like physical goods. So obviously the actual hardware. I don't know. If a game announcement came out, that'd be cool. I mean, rad. I think PlayStation probably needs it because I think they're a little slim pickings on the announcements side of things. Obviously, it was a big year for PlayStation with, Final Fantasy V, or Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The third party stuff. As far as like first party stuff, obviously Astrobot Game of the Year. It was a big year for PlayStation. But I'd be curious to see, if they do have some game announcements because it seems like it's kind of slim pickings as far as the announcements for 2025. But I feel like there's got to be some stuff. You just had the Pro, come out. I feel like there's some stuff we don't know. But if it's announced CES, I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool. It's cool to see that that's happening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I mean, two of the games potentially, you might hear some stuff about what is Death Stranding going to be exclusive, or is that cross-platform?
I actually don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
I mean, if they might talk about more Ghost of Ƴoṭa and stuff like that.
Ƴoṭa. Yeah,
that is a first-party game.
Yeah, that is a first-party game.
At least it's a studio that publishes with Sony.
But that's the only one I know about off the top of my head.
Ghost of Ƴoṭa. Trying to go back and double check.
Ghost of Ƴoṭa is the only one I know off the top of my head. Thinking about it like right now without looking. So
there's other games coming out that we know about, but they're not as necessarily first party games because obviously you've got the next Doom game supposed to come out next year.
Yeah.
You got Monster Hunter Wilds that launches in a few months. Assassin's Creed that launches in February. Another Dynasty Warriors games. Splitgate 2.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of games, but sometimes it's hard to tell what's an exclusive for Sony.
Yeah, none of those, as far as I'm aware, are exclusives.
If you got a Valve, that game feels like it's gonna flop. Because the only Microsoft game that you really know of is Fable. The only Xbox games that I'm thinking of exclusive. Supposed to get another Metal Gear Solid game next year.
Aren't we? What else? Xbox or something else I'm not thinking of. Obviously Fable. I feel like there's something else I can't think of. I'm not sure. Like I said, off the top of my head, if it's not coming right to my head, obviously it didn't stick with me, so I'm not sure. Which it's kind of crazy.
And look real quick.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if there's anything else because I actually don't know if there's anything other than Ghost of Ƴoṭa.
I mean, maybe there could be another game they haven't told us yet, but
no, there's definitely stuff in the horizon for sure that we don't know about. That's why I said, I mean, like it's possible that they announce, something. Let's see. I'm gonna look see if there's any upcoming releases.
Yeah, because Death Stranding 2 is only scheduled to come out for the PS5.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, so
at least as of right now, it's only scheduled for the PS5.
This isn't showing PlayStation exclusive, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, Ghost of Ƴoṭa, PS5 only. That game's probably eventually going to come to PC. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is only scheduled to come out for PS5 right now.
Oh yeah, that is coming to PS5, isn't it? I forgot.
So did I.
Yeah, I mean that'll be good, a good one because that guy, dang, is that a good game? Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. It's such a good game. I had my doubts, but I wanted it to be good because me and you like the Indiana Jones IP, but obviously the last outputtings movie-wise have not been good. But this goes back to the original movies. I mean, it's such a good game. And I'm playing it on PC. I'm currently playing it. Probably about 6 hours into the game, 7 hours into the game. Probably like 4 different sessions. I don't get the game a lot, but man, it is so good. I'm so excited about the game. Like I'm hoping that they do another thing, because it's coming to everything. It's on PC, it's on Xbox, coming to, PS5. My hope is that, that this, gets enough good press, which it's gotten. I haven't seen anything negative said about it at all. I haven't seen one single negative thing said about it. It's really, really good, man. So
I mean, to be fair, there are a number of games that are coming to like the PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, everything but micro Xbox. But that's technically not an exclusive. It's just not coming to Xbox for whatever reason.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Wolverine, obviously big game. Forgot about that. So that's coming, 2025. So that's what studios is it? It's doing Spider-Man. Oh yeah, you do. But I can't think of it. Sucker Punch. That's who it is. Sucker Punch is doing Spider-Man and stuff.
I wouldn't remember that.
Yeah. So and then.
Yeah, I did think this was funny. When it comes next year, because obviously we got the Legend of Heroes, the remake, but the Trails Through Daybreak's coming to everything but Xbox, and then the Trails in the Sky, the first, is only coming to the Switch.
Yeah, jeez.
Sometimes these releases don't make sense. But I'm assuming for that first, for the first, it's already out on some of the other consoles, so that's why it's only coming to the Switch. I don't think that's the remake specifically.
Shout out to Jay, who just came in the chat. Appreciate you coming in, hanging out.
What's up, Jay?
Mr. Coffee said CES will probably talk more about the AI tech and PS5 Pro. CSI don't. I can see that. Yeah, CES don't do major game announcements. Remember in the past, the biggest news out of CES was a color-changing car and Impossible Burger. We do have the Hideo Kojima game where people's faces are screaming. That's supposed to be Xbox exclusive.
Now, I guess I could see this where they might talk about, in a vague way, potential hardware coming to whatever the PS6 is going to be in a few years, because that already has to be in development, at least as far as the designing and testing.
Yeah.
You think of another 3-4 years probably for the PS6 to come out, so they could start hinting like this is what we're doing with the PS5, and we might start angling. Obviously, in the next year or two, they might talk more about it. But some of the hardware they're trying to implement in the next PlayStation, I think see something like that.
I think it's fair to say 2028 is PS6. I mean, that gives that's 8 years.
That'd be a whole 8 years. I would say at the very least, it's not coming out. Holiday season 2026 is the earliest, but I think 2027.
Oh, 2026.
Because you got to think the console came out in fall of 2020.
Yeah. November,
so you're thinking, it'll have been out for at least 6 years come next year, and usually 6 to 8 years is an average console lifespan. So
I think
2026 at the earliest, but I think it's probably gonna be closer to 27, 28.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, 6 to 8 years is the average life cycle, and considering we got the PS5 Pro exactly 4 years into, basically exactly 4 years, I think it's
PS4 come out.
I don't know, but I think the PS4.
Okay, so the PS4 launched in fall of 2013, so that was a whole 7 year. The PS4 had a lifespan of 7 years before the PS5 came out.
Fair, okay.
Take that, you're probably looking at 2027 realistically. That's why that 6 to 8 year window average, just because you don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I think 2028 is the latest. But yeah, I'll be curious to see. They obviously got a lot of bugs to work out PSSR, so I feel like, to me, the PS5 Pro feels more like a beta test rather than.
But I guess I'll say this, because you're talking about the PSSR, but you're still dealing with core hardware that came out in 2020 that was developed in like 2016.
Well, I'm talking about the PS5 Pro. I mean, the issues.
Yeah, but there's stuff implemented, but it still has to work with the base PS5 for all these games. So you're still limited on what you can actually do with the hardware upgrade. So you're realistically looking, like every new console, you're it's been 10 years since you had a hardware upgrade. That hardware is long since become outdated.
I think that the biggest issue, now obviously they fixed some stuff. Like you look at Silent Hill 2, they fixed that. PSSR is good on it now. I think the biggest thing is they didn't upgrade the CPU. They only upgraded the GPU. So I think that is limiting it with the PSSR. I think that's fair to say.
There's probably a price tag tied to that as
No,
well.
for sure. I mean, and people are complaining about the $800, but you have to keep in mind.
Upgrade the CPU,
God dang,
you're pushing it close to $1,000.
Yeah, you're
at that point you might as well just get a computer at that point.
Yeah, you're really pushing the price tag at that point. Like you're adding in the CPU, which CPU isn't as much as GPU, but it's still an additional. I feel like it would have been an additional $100 probably.
Probably easily just to have some kind of upgrade.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with PSSR. Now, it is getting fixed across the board. Like we are seeing changes and they're figuring it out. But here's the thing. When you implement a brand new AI machine learning model, there's going to be, do you remember DLSS 1, 2? Do you remember the problems that happened along the way with DLSS?
I don't think I used it. Well, because I think
there were
DLSS wasn't implemented till the 20 series, right?
Right, yeah. And it, just to put it this way, it had major issues.
I didn't have that problem. I went from a 10 series to a 40 series.
Oh, okay.
So I went from it not existing to it being in its third iteration.
Yeah, 3.5, 3.5 iteration at this point where we're at. So, I mean, it had a lot of issues and it's got to work out the kinks. People got to figure out the hardware. They got to figure out the AI learning model. They've got to figure out all of that. So, like, this is to be expected. This is PlayStation's first input into this, right? Like, they've got to figure it out.
There's like two big things with that. One, when you're dealing with AI, early on it has a limited input. You need to interact with it to learn and grow. So early on it's going to be rough because it has a limited plate. Two, they are kind of treating the user as a guinea pig to
pretty much
the hardware.
Yeah,
because there's two things with that. One, the users will be far more probably creative in a lot of ways of trying to find issues or problems with the hardware, as well as, there's no incentive for them to put all this money in development when the users are going to buy it and then they can just patch it down the road. We already see that issue with games. It's the same thing with hardware.
Right.
They'll release something faulty, they might have to deal with some refunds here or there, but at large, most people are just gonna stick with it until you eventually patch it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I said PS5 Pro feels more like a beta test, but I mean, it's not. Like, it kind of has to be. Like, that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? Like, I feel like when you're working with an AI learning model like this, that's how it goes. That people are, by nature, are going to be the beta test because you have to put it on mass. So, sure, you can work with the people you have there, but once you're putting it out to the public and then you're working with millions of people, that becomes where you're really finding out the issues that people are pointing out and things that, where people get kind of nitpicky with it's like Digital Foundry when they do an excellent job. One of the best gaming channels, period, when it comes to covering the actual tech and software side of video games, working with, spotting out all of the frame drops and all of the resolution issues and things like that. Wonderful guide and channel for that stuff. And that's where you really, when watching that channel and really studying what's going on, that's where you see like, oh, okay, so like PSSR is really having issues with this, and this. And it's interesting to see, but then obviously it's coming along. People are fixing and finally patching things. Elden Ring, Silent Hill 2, like the patches are coming along for games that support the PS5 Pro. So I feel like by nature, it kind of has to be like sort of a beta test. I feel like there's no way around that.
And I think, especially because you're dealing with AI, I think obviously there's a lot of pushback to it. But I think another one of those things, like AI is inevitable. You can push back it, but like you can complain about all you want. But that's where the future is going. Obviously, you don't know exactly where it's going, but I think back in the future when you're dealing with like older tech, like say cell phones, pushback, especially when you first had the smartphone, the touchscreen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's never gonna take off. Nobody wants to use that, and you can look at probably some older tech. That's just what I can remember, especially from the childhood. I was thinking about that, and you kind of brought it back up. I'm sitting here, I'm like, and obviously you've seen it in the games industry as a whole, people complaining about it, but that's where the industry is going. AI is going to be a pivotal role. You might want to say there needs to be limitations here or there, but it's only going to get better, and it will replace some jobs. I mean, AI itself is probably going to create new jobs in and of itself because you got new tech replaces old tech, but it also tends to create other issues for maintaining stuff behind the scenes. But I mean, I think it's inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of how you're going to implement it and use it. Because used in the right way for both, maybe as far as like hardware limitations, trying to overcome that problem, as well as in game development. It shouldn't create a handcrafted world, but in designing certain aspects of it and helping with development, it 100% should and will be used.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to go in and tweak it, but it can help you in some mundane areas. Like
Yeah.
I've
Boss movements, things like that.
I'll tweak it. Yeah, some of the more just monotonous stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it could just be planting trees or grass and what
Yeah.
you go through and fix it after the fact. Just something that could kind of help with it. That's not taking away from, but just adds to the development process.
Yeah, like you said, some of the mundane stuff, some of the
like
stuff where you're repeating the process.
Yeah, that's like a super simplified idea, but that's just like the first thing that came to mind and like a simplified ideas. Instead of going through and planting a bunch of rocks and trees in the road, you can have it kind of put it out there, and then you can go through and
fix it. Yeah,
adjust it as you need to.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, that's where we're going. That's where we're heading. That's the new big thing right now. People are going to, push back on it. But like you were saying with the smartphone thing, I mean, I was one of the people who's like, I didn't want the touchscreen,
In a decade, you're not going to remember that you ever pushed back against it because it'll be so ingrained into
and you're right. You're right. I forgot that I even ever pushed back on the full touchscreen stuff. But when you're in the moment
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Plenty of people were like, this is stupid. I'm never going to use this. And now it's just, everyone just, it's just part of life. Nobody thinks about it anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I mean,
it's a great
you can
point.
find people here or there that might think and complain about it. But at large, you just come to accept it because it adds to your life because it's new technology.
That's how it goes. That's just how it is.
Unless it's social media, then it's just a net negative across the board.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, for sure. Terminally online people. That's not good, man. It's not good for you. You need some sort of communication there. But we got Animal Crossing New Horizons breaks another sales record. So this game came out obviously in 2020. Height of COVID was what I would call the COVID game. I think that's fair to say that this was the game that kind of took over during that time. It definitely helped me for sure. Like I was on top of this game. I was home from work. Like this game was kind of like everything, but
I think I played it periodically, but after about like 2 weeks to like a month, I just got bored of it.
I think it took me probably a good at least good 8 months, but then that's what happens with every Animal Crossing for me is like I get super heavy into it, and there's like a burnout. Yeah, there's like a burnout from it, and then I just drop it and never pick it up again. And this happens every single Animal Crossing release.
Yeah, then again, during 2020, my life wasn't as upended as some people's were.
Yeah, I mean, I was home. That was it. I had
because my job requires me to be in. I can't remote work my job. I have to be in person to do certain aspects of my job, so it wasn't really an option for me.
I to be honest, like looking back, I wish that were the case for me. I wish that there had been zero time from home because it's not good. I don't think it's a good thing. That's
all the time.
Yeah, I don't think it's
look
good.
at it because especially the remote work can be great, but like let's be real. When you're doing a job, the environment's everything, and sometimes just getting out of your house, even
it's
if
good for you.
That's where the environment itself can help you get into a certain mindset compared to just. Because I just sit at home all the time. I'd be far. I
know people that can't do their remote work. Like they've had to sort of push back on the remote work because they're like, I can't get anything done. I can't focus. I've got too many distractions. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's a problem for some people.
You're seeing the pushback now, people wanting to stay home, but I'm like, at large, like I don't think you're better. It's harder to manage people when they're not in the same location.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's harder to get stuff done. Maybe in a rare exception it is. But at large, it's just like you just want to get a paycheck and kind of be lazy. In certain circumstances, it might be the same because like you this job you can only work in a city and where you're at the cost of living is way too high, so there's an issue there. But that's an issue at large of all these industries are in major cities, and that's very clearly a problem.
Yeah.
That's a whole other discussion. I don't want to go down,
but yeah, Animal Crossing New Horizons sold over 8 million physical copies in Japan, breaking the sales record for physical copies, which is crazy to think about because we're thinking about Japan, a much smaller country, has sold over 8 million physical copies, not counting digital. So that's pretty insane. That's a huge achievement. It looks like, according to Famitsu, Animal Crossing New Horizons moved more than 15,000 physical copies in Japan during the week of December 16th through the 22nd. It's enabled the highly rated Switch game to exceed 8 million copies and is at exactly 8,008,343 copies sold. New Horizons also dethroned Pokemon Red and Green as the best-selling physical game in Japan ever, per multiple sources. Previous record held by the 1996 Game Boy title, which is, Mark, you think about that? That's pretty insane, man. They dethroned Red and Green, which was the #1 selling physical copy video game.
Ridiculously well.
In Japan.
That's what tells you that is.
That's crazy. So it's been that long since a game has sold that many physical copies since the Game Boy.
You gotta think like how popular Pokemon was.
I know it was a massive. Oh, it was huge. Yeah,
like the Pokemon craze was like a legit thing.
It was huge. I mean, it surpassed every medium. You saw it on the news. I remember multiple times seeing it on the news, like how popular it was. The trading cards, the games.
Yeah, because you said that. Because for the week of the 9th to the 15th, Animal Crossing was the 8th best-selling game in Japan with 13.5 thousand copies.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Unfortunately, where is it? Yeah, I mean it's currently outselling Scarlet and Violet. But I'm sorry, it's still getting beat out by Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's the 3rd best-selling game in Japan.
Per week, we're talking, by the way, not like all time.
Mario Jamboree is still #1 that past week.
I mean, fair enough. That game is so good. That game's good. We love that game.
As of June 2023, the worldwide sales for that game was about 45.85 million copies. That's globally. So it's probably hit 50 million copies globally since then.
Yeah, that's Mr. Coffee in chat said I tried Animal Crossing once, not for him. Then we got Paul.
It's definitely like a cozy game.
Yeah, it's what I hate saying that. I hate that. I'm not into that. That cozy thing makes me think like people that lay in their pajamas all day with a blanket. That's what I think about.
I mean, that's the type of game it is.
Yeah, I guess it is.
That's exactly what a cozy game is. It's just a game you sit and relax.
Yeah, but let's not put it in those words. Let's not put it in those words, though, okay?
That's exactly what the game is. Like,
but that term was made up this year. Let's be fair.
No, it's been around for
cozy. Oh, come on, no, cozy game. Hey, Cyberlaria, yo, I see trails in the thumbnail. Yes, we did put trails in the thumbnail. We were just talking about you the other day, too, by the way. Cyberlaria obviously is the one that's hanging out with you during your trail streams. Mark was going to stream that again Sunday, too.
Actually, the plan is to stream. Since I can't stream it Sunday, I'm going to stream it New Year's Eve.
What day is New Year's Eve? Tuesday night?
Should be Tuesday.
So I'm going to try to stream Monday night, and I'm probably going to play an RPG. I don't know what yet, because I'm still playing Rebirth. But I plan to go back and play. I still got Ys to play, but the problem is I don't want to start it now because they just announced the new expanded version of the latest Ys game. Like they just announced that, so I'm like, I don't even want to open.
Remake?
No, not that, not what we're going to be talking about on today's show.
I just want to go back and finish that game, and then I can play the remake and see.
I'm talking about Ys 10 Ys Nordics.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about. I was thinking Trails.
No, you're good. I think I'm good on replaying because Ys 10 Nordics, they just announced it's called Ys 10 Proud Nordics, so it's like an expanded version of the game. I thankfully have not unsealed my copy of the game, so I'm thinking about just selling that, waiting for this to come out and play that because it feels mundane to play this and then play the new expanded version of the game that's got extra content and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm kind of glad I haven't started it yet because they just announced this like the other day.
Actually, I ask you because I on the video just went live today on the Junction Network. I was talking about the new Trails and stuff like that, the remake, and then the Dawnbreak or Daybreak 2. But in that same thing, they're bringing back the Ys vs Trails Sky next year.
Yeah,
a 2010 game on the PSP essentially.
Yeah, I guess we just got to talk about that because that was one of that was in the thumbnails. So that was one of the things we were going to talk about. Just a shout out, Cyberlaria said that you got to ping me in the Discord when you stream it, dude. So Mark's going to stream on New Year's Eve. So for audio listeners, if this comes out before then, I hope it does. Then
the funny thing is, I'm just gonna be picking up where I was 2 years ago, essentially.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. 2 years ago,
take like a 2-year break and come back to a game. Like I, for the most part, remember what I did with the game. But.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, for RPGs, like for instance, Metaphor, I picked it up again the other day after not playing it for like, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. I hadn't played it. I already forgot everything. I already forgot the controls, everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is like a problem.
It's an older game, so the controls a little bit more simplistic, and you have the turn-based combat, so it's kind of hard to forget that. Maybe some of the tactics and stuff, but
yeah, I'm really excited about this Ys versus Trails game. I think it's really, really cool. Obviously, it's a PSP game, so it's finally being brought over. Brought over to modern hardware and obviously in the US and stuff like that. But it's called Ys vs. Trails in the Sky Alternative Saga. You can obviously look up a trailer for it. There's a 1-minute trailer on YouTube. I think the game looks really cool. I obviously have never had the opportunity to play the game, so I think it's really cool. Falcom is doing really, really good things. I mean,
because they said this is what more of a, it's like a well, they have it tagged over on Steam.
It's almost like
PvP 3D fighter.
Yeah, it's like a fighting game. Yeah,
it's what their two popular series coming together in a crossover game.
Really, it's really weird. It's obviously like its own secluded story. That's what it's called, Alternative Saga. So it's like another universe essentially. But it's really cool to see these two franchises, which are two amazing RPG franchises, be brought over like together. It's just weird, but it's really cool. It's like you said, like an action RPG fighter. It's very hard to explain. You really gotta watch the trailer, because even the trailer I feel like doesn't exactly give is not good at defining what the game is. To be fair, I just rewatched it again. Like you look at it and you're like, is this like a 3D Smash Brothers game? Like, is this like a,
I can't say. They say they're bringing it up, beautifully remastered graphics for displaying HD and 4K screens, as well as 60 FPS support. Though to be fair, this is the Steam version, featuring couch and online multiplayer with rollback netcode for the first time, including English voice acting from a familiar cast of the Ys and Trails series. A vast material collection of wallpapers and soundtracks from various Falcom titles to unlock. PC-centric features, including mouse and keyboard support, arbitrary aspect ratio up to 5:4 and 21:9 and more. Obviously, those key features were exclusive to the PC, but I'm sure some of them are going to be brought over. Like I assume it will be, full HD 4K or whatever you can do in 60 FPS.
Yeah.
On every platform that it comes out on, at very least whatever the platform supports.
The PC is, I think, all that it's coming to right now. I think so.
I'm looking at the Steam page, so I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only PC. Let me look here, see if I can find out. Yeah, it's just PC right now. So that's interesting that it's only PC right now. But my guess is that it does get brought over to console and it's like a limited run games release or something like that. That's my guess. I feel like that's a. I feel like
PC, they fix out the bugs and eventually port it over from PC. Like it's developed for
and
PC,
if it's got rollback netcode,
PlayStation,
it's 100% a fighter. Rollback netcode is for fighting games. So, yeah, this is primarily like a 3D fighting game. That's interesting that it's got rollback netcode.
Well,
that gives it away.
They have of it on the store page make it look like it's still like the 2D fighting game. Like it's upgraded graphics, but it's still like a flat plane on the screen.
So it's
left to right.
It's just defined by Falcom as a crossover fighting game.
Yeah, if you pull up the Steam page, what they have on there looks like, they're just, it's like a remastered of the original game.
It says
so it still has those old like pixel-like graphics.
It says it's similar in concept to Super Smash Brothers, to City of Final Fantasy, and Tales of Versus, which I didn't know existed, by the way. Tales of Versus, I might have to look that one up too, which is apparently also a crossover fighting game. Yeah, no, it's cool stuff, man, because two franchises I love. I've been kind of harping on these franchises here lately. Yeah, Cyberlarry said coming to PC. Full English voice acting as well. It goes up to E7, I think, so I have some catching up to do.
Yeah, I think that was one of like the big selling things, because I think the older games just didn't have any voice acting. It's the old just straight text. Remember with the old Tales games at the very least? Yeah, for sure. At the very least, it was the limit. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played the game.
Yeah.
I swore when I was reading some stuff about that, like that was one of like the big things. Like, hey, it's fully voice acted.
That's cool. I mean, cool full English voice acting. I'm all for it. That's cool. I mean, obviously they're putting some time and effort into this because, full voice acting for a game is not necessarily simple and easy to do. So
I still like the old like the old 2D style graphics.
Yeah.
Potentially some of the pixel art, like of the old games. Like I still like that style. There's no need to change, but sometimes it's nice to have voice acting with the text on screen or something like that.
But I also do love where 𝐒𝐸 has gone in 2024. Like, it's really, really cool to see. Like, they've transitioned very well from that, obviously, 2D pixel game to a fully
3D.
Yeah, full 3D game that just looks great, plays great, has a good story, good, rememberable characters. They've done it very well. Cyber Larry said, I don't play with English voices, but cool for people who do. That's fair enough. I mean, Japanese voices are cool too as well. But yeah,
no, if you're gonna read the text anyways. What does it matter?
Yeah, fair enough. We've also got Rare's Everwild game may finally resurface in 2025. So I found this very interesting because obviously Rare is a huge company for both of us. I mean, like you looking at what. Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Conker's Bad Fur Day. You're looking at so many.
It's the same studio at this point in naming. Like, to be fair, none of the people that develop those games are probably still at that studio.
No, I'm just talking about the studio.
And they've been working on the Sea of Thieves for like the past decade at this point. It's like really the only game they work on.
Yeah, pretty much, which was obviously a hit. I mean, it took a little bit. I feel like there was a little bit of a kind of a lull there, but it's got like a dedicated fan base and following of people that
it is a fun game, like a
it's fun
PvP, a PvEVP type game.
I haven't played it since the year it came out. We're going to be playing it tomorrow as of this recording. Should be interesting to revisit it because I haven't even played it since Krakens were brought in. So it's been a long time.
There's a lot of content in that game because it came out in 2018, so it's been out for 6 years now.
Yeah, I haven't played it since it came out. I mean, we played it. I was playing it on the Xbox One S.
Yeah, because I think when I played it back in 21, 22, it was around the time they were doing the Jack Sparrow crossover stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that happened. What a good crossover, though. I mean, that makes total sense.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
the whole pirate stuff like that.
But apparently, Everwild was first revealed in November 2019 as Rare's next game after the highly successful Sea of Thieves. Studio then showed up at the Xbox Game Pass showcase in June 2020 with another stunning trailer for Everwild. It was claimed that Everwild was a mess behind the scenes, that Rare supposedly rebooted development on the game. Over 4 years after its last trailer, Everwild's release window remains uncertain, but it seems Rare could finally break its silence surrounding the game in 2025. So I've been following this game since that because I was really excited. Like, they did good with Sea of Thieves. Obviously, it's like a totally different shift for the company, right, than what they were doing before. And like they weren't doing anything there for a while. I don't know how long the gap was.
Sea of Thieves came out in 2018, and before Everwild, I guess they worked on Battletoads that came out and
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
For Xbox, but since then before Sea of Thieves, they did Rare Replay on 2015, was just a remaster, and then I guess Kinect Sports 2014, Killer Instinct 2013. So to be fair, they haven't really worked a whole lot of anything like the past decade.
They had like a good 4-year lull there, and like the games that they did before that were nothing like big. I mean, Kinect Sports, to be fair, come on. How many years?
Then you can look back, they had 18 games come out in 1990.
Yeah, I mean they were
the NES.
They were a big company, dude. They were across every platform.
I mean, yeah, you look like they're putting out games like at least 5 games every year, throughout the entire 90s, every single year. Because
they were huge.
I was trying to think of some of the other stuff.
But you brought up that Battletoads game. By the way, that is an amazing remake. Really, really freaking good remake, but still utterly hard.
Yeah, because they had Battletoads in 91 come out. They had another Battletoad. They had Battletoads for the Amiga in 92. Some Wizards and Warriors games. All of 93 essentially Battletoads / Double Dragon games. Or that game came out on a bunch of consoles, but they have this listed. And then where's that exactly? Donkey Kong Country came out in 94. They put out Donkey Kong Country 3 in 96. Same with Land.
Let's just skip 2.
Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing. Jet Force Gemini, Donkey Kong 64, like the mid to late 90s was like, I really feel like
huge. Yeah,
it was the 64 era, really.
Yeah, no, it was the 3D. Obviously, the 2D stuff they did was great as well, but like the 3D era, you really think of Rare because you see that symbol comes to your mind right away. You're like, oh, this is going to be a banger. Like this is going to be a good game.
When you think of the 64, that the introduction to 3D, but the polygon 3D, you think of Rare games. Like,
yeah,
I do think about.
Yeah. I mean, other than like Super Mario 64 and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, because I went back and recently, like last year or something like that, replayed the Jet Force Gemini when they brought it to the.
Did you play the whole thing?
So I didn't completely beat it. I got over halfway through the game within 3 days, just because I know pretty much know the whole level design, what you need to hit going through. But I mean, you just think of like those old graphics, like how they just had to deal with the limitations of the hardware, and they just did it in such a really good way. The music fits the environment, even if it repeats after a while. You just go back and like, yeah, this is my childhood, and I still like playing these games. A lot of the games still hold up, outside of some certain, hardware or controller limitations they had to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
One of my favorite companies ever.
Yeah, because I was thinking of Jet Force Gemini just because that's like the big one. Obviously, I think Perfect Dark is probably one of their more well-known games.
Oh, for sure.
On game, the shooting mechanics aren't the best, but a lot of that just comes down to the limitations of the 64.
Well,
that's part of the problem with that.
Well, I do want to.
The 64 controller.
Yeah, for sure. Just to loop background to the Everwilds game, they put out a Happy Holidays. They said Happy Holidays, whoever's seeing this. Hope you're closing the year out in style. And as it's the day of fine gifts, of fine food, here's our offer. Basically, they put out something that is an Everwilds like promo piece. Like the image that they put out was of Everwilds. I think this game. I mean. Like, you look back on it, obviously it says that they've rebooted development supposedly behind the scenes. We don't know that for a fact. But, I'm excited to see what comes of this game. It'll be interesting to see them do something a little bit different in the recent history of Rare. But Cyberlayer said, Happy Holidays, by the way. Paul Jean 1337 said, I love Battletoads. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously some people that also love Rare as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Because I never owned the game, but I played it before. In 2002, when they put out Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube, outside of being attached to the Star Fox name, I still thought it was a solid game on itself. Maybe not the best Star Fox.
Star Fox 64. That game's great.
When people talk about Star Fox, they only talk about 64, which was like the second game they put out.
Did you see that came to PC with full widescreen support? Somebody ported it to PC. Didn't. Yeah, it's on PC now. You gotta check it out.
Well, I mean, that's like the weird thing. I think Star Fox Adventures should have been the proper transition for that series. But the problem was everyone got hyped on that one game. They've tried different things since, but they either they try to copy what they did for 64, and like it's too much, or they do what they do for Adventures, and like, oh, it's not Star Fox. It's like people are too.
I love
Star Fox. They can't disconnect it from the 64.
I love Star Fox Adventures. The problem with it is that it wasn't Star Fox Adventures. That's the problem with it. It was Dinosaur Planet, and it's very clear as day. I have a cartridge of Dinosaur Planet. Very much, obviously, that was what it was meant to be.
Fair, that
it's recoded.
Where to keep Star Fox relevant, it needed to go that direction. Everyone pushed back, then they went back years later to try to essentially on like the Wii or the Wii U, which was trying to like reimagine what the 64 was, and everyone hated it. So it's like, well, what do you want out of this game then? You just want 64? Because anytime they've tried different things with the game, and nobody likes it. So like, you just don't care about this IP, is what it feels like.
It's hard to say. I don't know that I agree that was the direction it needed to go in. Where was the pushback on Star Fox 64? Because I never saw that.
No, that's where it peaked.
Yeah, I would say that.
Anything they've done since, it just gets hated.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like Star Fox Zero and you think Star Fox Guard. I think Star Fox DS did very well. It went back to Star Fox 64. People love that game. But what beyond that did they do?
Someone did that with Zero, trying to put a new spin on it. People hate it. I'm like,
people hated Zero.
It's trying to do the same thing. The problem is, like, you're not even open to that IP coming back at all, because
that's the problem with.
And you can't. The games industry is not where it was in the mid '90s when that game came out.
Yeah,
you can't get that game again. It's also a really like a lot of games. It's not a long game. You can beat that game in like under 10 hours pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a very short game. Yeah, I mean, Star Fox is a weird one because, I mean, was created as a game where you're only piloting the game, but you're interacting with characters by them being in the vehicle and talking. Yeah. So, and it stuck with that format moving forward. Obviously, you didn't get Star Fox 2 until the NES or the Super Nintendo Mini came out.
But it needed to evolve past it after a while because, I mean, I guess you could kind of keep it flying, but you try something new and, you know, your fans don't like it. So it's like, I don't think you're ever going to get another Star Fox game. I think the fans are just too ravenous. They won't accept anything that's not perfect, and Nintendo just sees it as a dead IP. Essentially.
Well, that's the problem, right?
Because I'm wrong at this point.
No, I mean I'm thinking like for 2025 or something like that for the Switch 2. I would want to say that yes, Nintendo wants to do something with it, but it's like if the game's not going to sell, they're not going to put it out. And that's the problem with Metroid, right? Like Metroid just doesn't sell.
But the problem with Metroid is outside of that one game, the games haven't been hated. It just doesn't sell well.
Yeah, which I can't figure out why. I think it's just that they're not marketing it right. I feel like they've never marketed it right.
No, but I think with Star Fox, it's just the fans just are stuck with Star Fox 64, and they're like, well, we've tried a few different things, and you've hated everything, so why bother at this point? The problem with Metroid is it just doesn't sell well outside of other M's.
Yeah, but
which I like the story.
What's the reason that Star Fox? It's the same thing with Metroid. What are the reasons that these IPs don't sell? Why we don't just because they're changing the format. They changed Metroid, and it still didn't sell either with 3D. Like, the numbers aren't there.
You've got Adventures, which was a reskin on the GameCube, which wasn't the best-selling console. And then you had Zero, which came out on the Wii U, which is the worst console. Like, to be fair, the timing for what console some of these games came out weren't the best.
Yeah, I feel like you can't judge Star Fox Zero because of the console, for one. Like, I feel like that should just be thrown away.
But its core fan base was so ravenously against it. It's like, well, if you can't win your core,
and
you're just not going to.
I played and beat Star Fox Zero. To be fair, like it doesn't like do anything crazy. It sticks with the traditional format for the most part. Like for the most part,
the fans were asking for it, so they went back,
and it didn't sell. Yeah, so it's like
also on a console that wasn't bad, but other games sold far better.
Yeah, and I didn't hate Star Fox Zero, to be fair. I didn't love it either. I kind of went away from it, like kind of being like, it was fine. That's kind of how I felt. But again, like I feel like there was probably a lot of other factors we don't know about going into that. In the Wii U being what it was, I love the Wii U. My Wii U save's plugged up, so I don't judge for like the actual hardware. I think the hardware was good. I think it was marketed wrong and it was named wrong, and that was it. I think that's it about it.
I think the other problem with Metroid is a lot of the games are just older titles, so you're stuck in a world of the 2D scroll.
Well, that's whose fault is that? That's Nintendo's fault.
No, the core 5 games are fun, but to be fair, where you are right now, you have a hard cap on 2D side scroller games. Even if it's a really good game, you're gonna have a cap.
But Dread
sold really well.
Is the #1 selling Metroid game, so I don't think that was a great
whole lot, to be fair.
Yeah, but also it hasn't been out that long, so it's the best selling within like what 2 years, less than 2 years.
Prime series should have been where it is where it's going. Those games should sell well. It hits a lot of what modern gaming.
I mean, Metroid Prime 4, I think is probably going to surpass Dread because I think that it's going to be a cross-platform game. So I think it's going to
be a launch title at this point. I think they need to get that series to sell. But to be fair, when you look at Prime 1 and 2, Prime 1 and 2 weren't bad games. There were two things going against them. One, they're stuck on the GameCube, which didn't sell all that well. And Prime 1 came out right around the time that Halo Evolved came out. And Prime's a good game. It got really good reviews. The problem was it's on a console that's not the best, and it came out around the same time that one of Microsoft's best-selling games launched as well. And it just did a lot of things better than this game did.
I don't know about that. I don't know that it did it better.
Fair,
I love Halo, but I don't know that it did better.
It had the multiplayer aspect of it on the Xbox.
That's probably the only thing it did better. I love Halo.
To be fair, it had overall probably a better written story because Prime, the Metroid games they're story games, but it's not the same narrative as say a Halo game is. A lot of it's exploring, reading text, trying to figure things out, like exploring a world by yourself. Though the whole feeling of isolation. And then by the time you had 3 come out, it's a sequel that was on the Wii, which sold well, but for whatever reason, it just didn't. It's probably them just not properly marketing the game.
Fair enough.
Or the Wii is, to be fair, the Wii was not seen as a gamer's hardware. It was seen as for kids and for old people.
Oh, you're a loser if you didn't play Wii.
You got a lot of casual games. To be fair, the hardcore gaming demographic stuck with the 360 and the PS3.
Not me.
They didn't necessarily get the Wii.
Not me.
We were also kids when it came out, so.
Let's see. What year did the Wii come out? 2008?
2006.
2006, yeah. We were in middle school. Yeah, that sounds about right. I remember bringing Wii Sports to school, and it got all torn up just to show off that, hey, I got a Wii, because they were so hard to get.
The 360 was what true gamers got back in the day. Like, the console war was between the 360 and the PS3.
I never bought into. We're getting off topic, but I never bought into the console war thing. I've always done the Nintendo and then one other console thing. I've always done that.
Yeah, but Nintendo's
as much as I
done
could.
their own other thing.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's why it's always been Nintendo plus another console.
When you think of those, I don't want to say casual. That's not the right, but your person that just plays a few hours a week, that plays like your Call of Duty style game.
Yeah, they're only gonna grab one.
Nintendo console. They're gonna get like a PlayStation.
But
or
then
Xbox,
you see the Wii
play,
sales.
like, Call of Duty, FIFA, and sports games.
The Wii sales, I mean, are like, they speak for themselves, though. So it doesn't really matter whether it's a casual console or not. It's sold crazy.
But a lot of those sales were coming from, people that
that's
weren't
good
normal gamers.
That's kind of what I want. Like that's what I want to see.
You didn't get the
I get what you're saying.
Wasn't fully bought in on the ones that are going to actually religiously play video games. Weren't really bought in. They may have had a Wii for one or two Nintendo games they liked, and that was it. They weren't really gonna buy games for that.
I mean, I know people only bought it for Wii Sports, so straight up.
That's the thing. When you think of core gamers, people that are actually in playing it a lot, like we are now, they would have gone for the 360, the PS3, especially if you were limited on money as well.
Yeah, I was like super invested in the Wii. It was kind of. Maybe even a little unhealthy.
No, that's just what I'm saying. Where Prime 3 had going against it. It was on the Wii that wasn't necessarily seen as a COD machine, even though it had some of those games on there.
I get it. The motion controls was the biggest thing.
Yeah, games that should have sold better if they had launched on the Switch would have sold better, but they had a lot of stuff going against them which hurts game sales.
Yeah, Mr. Coffee brought up.
Prime 4 should sell really well.
Yeah, it should. It should. Mr. Coffee brought up about Starlink, which was kind of like a side story for Star Fox, which was legit. I mean, it was very good. It was very good.
But it was only the Switch version, but the whole Starlink game was
the game itself. I was only invested in it for the Star Fox portion of it.
So marketed as a Star Fox.
Yeah, it wasn't. No. It wasn't. I also said
you needed to get like an actual weird
physical. Yeah,
it had a lot of stuff.
There was some stuff working against it. He said you hope Metroid Prime 4 will sell because history has shown that Metroid is a bigger game domestically. Cyberlayer said I have no stake in this conversation. I was a PlayStation kid growing up. Mr. Coffee said Wii was the tickle me Elmo everyone wanted and grandparents loved it. With online games like COD. We just got flooded with shovelware. That's unfortunate. Which the Switch does too. I mean, to be fair, the Switch.
But hey, that's why I'm so adamant that it needs to be a launch title to get it out there that it's a good game and to sell well. If it's one of the 5 or 10 games when it launches in its first year, it helps boost the sales, but get a lot of people who may not have played it. Like a lot of people who play Dread. Maybe they never played a 3D Metroid because they're kind of hard to come by, especially if you don't have like a Wii or a Wii U.
Yeah, and I mean the easiest way to play is the Wii or the Metroid Prime trilogy, which is on the Wii and technically Wii U if you get it digitally. This
will be the first time a lot of people will have even had access because like we talked about this before with older games, the access to these games is
the biggest thing
at this point.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because
reason
we should have Metroid Prime 2 and 3 by now. I think it's ridiculous. We're in December. We thought we would have had it months ago.
I mean, Prime 1 the Prime 1 remastered should have probably sold better than it did, but I mean, who knows what?
I mean, is that why? Is that why? Like, are they just like, Metroid Prime 1 is good enough, and then we'll just skip the 4? Like, is that what their thinking is, or is it we don't
Narratively,
know?
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because they need to have access to modern hardware for these people to understand what the hell is going on in the story.
Yeah. But I think the Prime Remaster didn't have a whole lot of marketing. It was kind of like here's a thing. And
it's kind of threw it out, which they did good with the $40 price tag. But other than that, I feel like,
Prime 4 needs to be the gateway to go back to, say, playing Prime 1, 2, and 3. And a launch title helps expose people to that style of game.
Could you see 2 and 3 coming out after 4? They're like, let's see the sales for 4.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. No, it really doesn't.
It would make sense to release them, a few months from when that game comes out to continue to build that hype. But at this point, I've got no idea what they're going to do with Prime 2 and 3. At this point,
it's hard to say.
Remastered. I just want the games ported to play them.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so we got The Legend of Heroes Kai no Kiseki Farewell Ōzumura heads to PC in 2025. So another JRPG. Obviously, we were just talking about Legend of Heroes with you going back and playing the games. So I was watching the trailer on here. Definitely needs to be released on Steam. It looks good. Like, the game visually looks very good.
I'm glad we're finally getting a lot of these games finally being ported over.
It's got DLSS.
Games.
It has ultra widescreen support, Steam Deck support. So, like, they're doing all the right things. It says, in addition to traditional Chinese and Korean, is now available in English. So that's definitely really cool to see. I think this, I could be totally wrong, because obviously I haven't had the opportunity to play this. It was not released here. But I think that this is a side story game. I could be totally wrong. It says it's set during Operation Startaker. The game follows Calvert's 23rd president, Roy Gramhart, and his national scale project. So I think this is a side story, but I think it's a canon game to the story. My understanding. That's what I saw reading some of the comments. So definitely really cool. I mean, I'm all for these Japanese, Chinese, Korean exclusive games coming out over here. I love Falcom. Like I said earlier, I love what they're doing, so it's really, really cool to see. Obviously, I had that in the thumbnail, and I was pretty excited for you to see that. So
because they back in 22 they brought the Kai version over. It's on Steam.
Yeah,
at 60 FPS. So now I guess this would make sense. It's more of a side story.
Yeah, I think it is. I know it's got a lot of characters involved in the game, so. I know I'm reading some of the very first comments on this tweet here. We got somebody says, is it another game or same one as Kuro 1? I don't know what that means. Somebody else said, if no full voice acting, then no last game barely had any.
I mean, to be fair, what they did with the graphics for Kai, just looking at these screenshots on the Steam page, looks like they gave it a nice coat of paint to make it look good, but still kept that stuck camera, that 2D, 3D pixel art kind of style.
What's also cool, so I didn't put this in the notes, but Falcom has also shared a tentative list of their upcoming titles in the latest financial report. The list is comprised of already released games, those announced to be in the works, and unknown entries. So we've got games like let's see what's we got a unannounced Trails series title in development, an unannounced Ys series title in development. We obviously know about Trails in the Sky First Chapter, which, like, for you, I feel like that's obviously going to be the starting point. This remake for Trails, the very first Trails game, that's going to be really the way for you to go. And, like, I'm going to play it too. I mean, that's really cool to see. Like, I'm all for them remaking some of these older games that were stuck on older hardware, PSP and stuff like that. They need to be accessible. Like we said, either it needs to be ported, it needs to be remastered, or these games got to be accessible for people. I think it's really cool that they're doing that. So I'm really excited for that. Like, it's obviously in development right now. So that looks like, there's an unannounced Nintendo Switch title, which we don't know what it is. So, man, they've got a lot. This company they are doing a lot. Cyberlayer said, finally a fan translation. Oh, never mind. It's mainline Trails. He said Kiseki equals Trails. It's basically Kuro 3. Kind of Kiseki is the next mainline Trails game. Okay. All right. Well, mainline Trails game. So there you go. The more you
I don't know
know.
all about the games, though.
The more
Take
you
it
know.
from our local trails expert. So
Yeah, for sure. So I found this interesting. This is more of like a how do I put this? What kind of article would this be? More of a. It's not really news, but an interview came out. It's kind of news, I guess. Interview came out that Mario and Luigi Brothership could have been a different art style, taking inspiration from Acquire and Square Enix's HD 2D games. That would have been interesting. So that was the only reason I put it in here.
So they referenced specifically Octopath Traveler, which would have been a neat art style.
I just don't think it would have worked for.
I just saw Octopath Traveler. Like, Octopath Traveler. People know what that game looks
Yeah,
like.
for sure.
I still think they made the right decision. I just don't think it would have been the same game. Like,
yeah,
the bright poppy, the artsy color, like that's what a Mario game is. To be fair, outside of like the RPG or the Paper Mario games, like the Paper Mario game should probably play more like Octopath Traveler with more color pop and a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah, Paper Mario for sure could do it. I think it could pull it because it did Mario and Luigi. It doesn't
fits it far more.
I agree, and I think it's an excellent game. Really good RPG. It's very fun for what it is. I still haven't beat it yet, but I'm like 18 hours into the game, so I know I don't have a ton more to go, based on the story.
You're far more into the game than I am.
Yeah, you got to play some more, man. You got to use that break you got going on. Play through some Mario and Luigi.
I think it's better than a 77.
A 77?
Critic rating.
I think that's a pretty fair rating. I would actually, where I'm at so far, I would probably put it at an 8 out of 10. So it's pretty close to what I would rate it. I mean, it's only 3% difference. I think it's a really good game. I think it's got visually, it's got some it's not, I don't think it's visually a beautiful game or anything like that. So I think there's some problems there, but I think that comes down to the hardware. I feel like this would have looked way better on Switch 2. But I think that I still feel like it doesn't take full advantage of what Switch does offer for what it is. I feel like there's other games like, for instance, Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, it's not a game on that scale. So that's probably, and it's being developed by Alpha Dream, so it's not actually being developed by Nintendo. So like there's some stuff there where it's like another studio's developing it and stuff like that. So I feel like there's maybe a little miscommunication there with some things. But like the story is maybe not like the greatest in the world, but it's a really fun RPG, and it's it's like I always put the Mario and Luigi games because prior to this one, I still like this game a lot, but like, for instance, Brothers in Time, like I rate that game like a 10 out of 10. Like I think it's an essential RPG. You think back to Mario and Luigi, what's the one on GBA called? Gosh dang it, I can't remember. There's obviously Bowser's Inside Story. I think that's a very good game, probably like a good 9 out of 10 for me. Those games are just excellent. They're just really, really top tier games. Like they were definitely way above average DS games, if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the weakest of the entire series, and I played all of them and beat all of them. I think it's probably the weakest of the entire series, but it's still good. That's not to say it's bad. And I think a lot of my problems come down to the visuals, where I don't think it's like visually a beautiful game or anything like that. I think it's got some problems visually. Definitely like some hiccups along the way as far as like frame rate goes and things like that. But again, still good, and I'm not talking down to the game at all. I think it's still really good. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've just been playing it in between stuff because the story is like, mildly there. It's not like anything crazy. So it is a Mario game after all, but it's still really good.
For what it is, it's a really fun little game with like essentially like a bunch of mini dungeons type thing.
Yeah, it's still really fun. I really enjoy it. Cyberlayer said also unannounced Switch title is probably 𝐒𝐸 Memoir. Well, we already know about 𝐒𝐸 Memoir though. I've got it pre-ordered. It could have been maybe it came out prior, so we didn't. Yeah, could have been that for sure. Okay, so we got Pokemon TCG Pocket launches new so just to quickly head back on this, I didn't know we were going to talk about it for as long as we did before, but the mass outbreak event is going on currently, so there's a bunch of news.
The electric theme or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can unlock and stuff like that. You can get extra packs, You get like icons, different things like that. So there's stuff you can unlock along the way with the Mass Outbreak event. So we do know they're going to do stuff like Pokemon Go. Obviously, that's already being done. And we had just talked about, and during the, I think, Anime Junction cast, right, where we were talking about why aren't they doing anything for Christmas and stuff like that. I was like, why aren't they doing anything for the holidays? Well, I guess they kind of are.
You can do some special codes or something.
Now if you log in every day, you unlock stuff. So I've got an extra pack yesterday and today. So there is stuff going on.
I was thinking of the Scarlet and Violet. The only they had some codes that are good. The only good
really?
was like a specific type of one of the starter, like the fire starter.
Oh,
you can get a bunch of
free
like evolution stones and stuff like that.
I'll have to. You have to. Is there a list of the codes? You have to send them over to me if there is, because I want to put all those in. I try to do all the codes I can, even though I'm not like actively playing the game, but you know.
Let me pull up. Yeah. So they said that there's no expiration date, but via the internet you can get the mythical Pecha berry.
Ooh, I love a good Pekka berry.
I think that was like the specific one, because obviously through January 1st, if you have, you can get all the evolution stones through two different codes. You can get some vitamins. You can get a special Fuecoco. The codes go through January 1st, and then through February you can get like 30 quick balls, expert belt, Yasobi's Palmon, stuff like that. Nothing super exciting, but I guess it's something. I don't know about the mythical Pecha berry. I don't know how that affects the game, because I usually don't get into that. I beat the story.
It's actually called a Pekka berry. Pekka berry.
Whatever.
Man.
I guess I could drop it, and I'll drop it in all the chats.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Drop it there.
So we've got Metaphor Reef and 𝐒𝐫𝐚𝐥 director comments on the possible sequel. So basically, they did a little interview talking with the director. They said a potential sequel, along with possible consideration for a full-fledged series. Director Katsura Hashino has said. This is in the latest special double issue of Weekly Famitsu magazine. Hashino says there is no concrete plans to make Metaphor a series, but he does hope that it can be someday. Hashino then notes that Metaphor Reef and 𝐒𝐫𝐚𝐥 started with the goal of creating a third JRPG series, which is standing along Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, saying he hopes that he can turn it into a flagship title that represents. All right, so I think for sure 110% that this is going to be their third series that they're going to be focusing on. So I think it's going to be SMT, Persona, Metaphor.
I mean, to be fair, because
the game did gangbusters. Metaphor did.
Reef Fantasio was Atlas's fastest selling game of all time, which just means it's probably one of their better selling games. Which means it's almost guaranteed to get a sequel just because it's sold really well.
I think it has to. Yeah, with that being the fastest selling and the best selling and stuff like that. I mean, Atlas just puts out bangers anyway. The last SMT game that came out was really, really good. Persona 3 Reload was really, really good, though I haven't finished the game. I'm a good 60 hours into the game. So I put significant time into it. I love it. I think it was probably one of the most overlooked, although in my little circle of people, I guess on the interwebs, a lot of people were talking about it, a lot of people were playing it. But I think that there was just so much that came out that people kind of overlooked, and it was like a remake, so it was like it didn't hit as many people, though it did really well. Persona 3 Reload, from my understanding, did very well and was up there as one of their best selling when it came out. And then Metaphor came out and then conquered that again. But I still feel like, for some reason, I feel like Persona 3 Reload probably just didn't get as much attention as it deserved, because 2025 was a bigger year than I anticipated, because last year was so good with gaming.
I mean, 2024, it says, when there were highs, there were really high highs, but it also had some of the worst lows, some of the valleys.
2024
flops were, some of the worst flops of all.
Yeah, but look at this year. Look at this year with the DEI games.
All the flops were all AAA. Some of the best games were more the indie / single or AA titles.
For this year or last year?
For this year.
Okay, so I'm looking here at some of the... All right, so we got Skull and Bones for this year. Suicide Squad this year. Senua Saga Hellblade 2, which was a good game, but it was way too short. It kind of almost wasn't a game. It was more of like, it felt like more of a tech demo, but it was very good. And one of the visually probably the best game of all time. Like visually, hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what the substance wasn't there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It felt like more of a tech demo. Star Wars Outlaws, Concord, Dragon Age of Veilguard. So that was all like the big AAA gaming flops for this year.
The big AAA were all flops. All the successes, none of those would be AA. Some of those might technically be AAA, but not the traditional AAA games you would expect for some of the big releases of this year.
Let's see the big ones for last year. Atomic Heart, who cares? Modern Warfare 3, I don't know that was a flop. I don't think any COD is a flop.
They never flopped.
Yeah, City Skylines.
Awards, but they're going to sell well.
So this list is stupid because these are Forspoken. Okay, that was a flop. That was a AAA game. Last of Us Part 1, PC. Yeah, this is a stupid list. Never mind.
That's a port. That's not going to sell.
This is
Most
a
ports
dumb.
don't really do a whole
Let's
lot.
see. The worst review games of 2023. Never heard of it. Redfall. Yeah, that was definitely a flop. Everybody wants to Switch. I don't think anybody cares.
It was a game that shouldn't have been set.
This list also lists Modern Warfare 3. That's interesting. I don't think I think a COD can do less than other CODs have done, but no Call of Duty has ever flopped, if you ask me. I don't think any of them have flopped. Am I right in saying that? Because it's just such a massive IP that people are going to play it no matter what.
If anything, most people probably just play it for the multiplayer.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't...
It's like every sports game. They could be terrible, but it's still going to sell well. It's still going to make money.
I pulled up 3 lists, and 2023 doesn't look like anything like 2024 at the AAA flops. I mean, Starfield, yeah, this list is saying Spider-Man 2. Like, that game was a 9.1. It was not a flop. These lists for 2023. I don't think 2023 was one of the best years in gaming since, like, I don't know, 2003, 1996. You look at like the releases that came out these pinnacle years in gaming, 2017, 2024. It did way better than I expected it to do, being that 2023 was so good. Sure, there might have been like, peaks and valleys and stuff. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember it being a banger year, and I was like, man, this might be the best year in gaming ever. But 2024 did really well. Would you say that it was a good year in game? I mean, like, I can't keep up,
I think 2024 for AAA it was an abject faceplant, but for indie to AA gaming, I think it was an absolute success.
Yeah, there's been so much that has come out this year that, like, I mean, look at like Metaphor, for instance, we were just talking about it. That's like a 100-hour game, easy, right? So, like, there's these games that came out that are just like, even I like got back into Call of Duty a little bit, and like I just haven't cared for like a while. And it was mostly because I was like, well, I'm doing like the series of collecting these games, so I was like, I might as well like revisit a little bit, and kind of enjoyed the multiplayer with that, and like had played with a couple friends that I hadn't played with in a very long time, which was really nice. That's the first time I revisited with some friends. So like, there's been a lot this year that has come out that like there's been games that we didn't expect to kind of like we didn't expect to kind of like Marvel Rivals. We expect that to be an absolute flop. We're making fun of the game for months and months and months, and look at it, it's a huge success. Like we thought that was a flop, period.
I guess that just shows the Japanese developers are better.
Is it a Japanese developed game?
Pretty sure it was developed. It wasn't developed.
I mean, like, to be fair, at the end of the day, the game is not really completely different than Overwatch. I think it just does it better than Overwatch 2 does, but it's not like by a mile or anything. It's still very much an arena shooter.
It was developed by both Marvel Entertainment and NetEase Games. NetEase Games is a Chinese company.
Oh,
but it was still. It was. You can tell in the designs it wasn't developed
because it's got those gotcha mechanics too. It's got that gotcha paint.
If it had been developed by a Western developer, all your female characters would have looked like a bunch of butch lesbians. Am I wrong in saying that? Look at every other Western female.
Not exactly.
Game. No, they don't
shaving the head.
Ambiguous, yeah. That's exactly what you would have gotten. Character design sold it that it was developed by an Eastern studio.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like...
I was just slightly wrong, but yeah, it's, Asian developers.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes sense because it's got that sort of gotcha paint to it. It's sort of got that with... I guess it's not exactly... It wouldn't be considered a gotcha game, but it's got that flavor to it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, we kind of liked it. We played it more than once. We streamed it, I think, twice, right? Like, we're considering maybe streaming it again for a community game, since it is free, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it, and I played it off stream. So I played it probably 4 or 5 other times by myself. Yeah, I mean, that's, there's just there was some unexpected things this year that I definitely it wasn't on my radar at all, that I definitely didn't plan on playing, that I actually really enjoyed. And yeah, it's been an unexpected year. I think that, kind of looking back, for this episode, what would you say? Because I guess we're going to be diving into that here just shortly. Let's go and cover the rest of the news, and then we'll dive back more into kind of revisiting the year. But we got Sony Spider-Man. This is non-gaming, but it was pop culture related. I found this very interesting. I really wanted your take on it. So this is Sony Spider-Man universe movies. The CEO says we're destroyed by the press. These are not terrible films. So we're talking Venom. We're talking Madam Web. We're talking what else?
Madam Web was a terrible film.
All the Sony Spider-Man game or movies. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the new Sony, villain universe, if you will. The Venoms, and not just Madam Web. What else was there? The vampire movie.
It's not. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Blade?
No, not Blade. No. This was
I thought I like Blade 1 at the very least.
No, this is a newer movie, 2022.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not sure. But I'll say this. I think their movies are bad, but that's Marvel as a whole. All their movies have been bad recently. So.
Okay, so we got Madam Web. Venom, Morbius was the one I was thinking of. Morbius. So he's the
movie that got memed into re-releasing it theaters, and nobody watched it because people were just memeing on it.
Well, I mean, first of all, you have Jared Leto playing the character, so that's a meme in itself. But yeah, Morbius is awful. And the best thing they've done are the animated movies, which were both fantastic. I feel Madam Web, I watched it because I like Spider-Man. Horrible. I watched Morbius. Horrible. Venom. I watched the newest Venom, but I've heard horrible things about it.
I'll say this: it feels like they're falling into the same trap that DC has, where their live action's just terrible. They can only do animated movies. Whoever that works the animated stuff is great. The live action's just becoming just slop to push out the door.
Mr. Coffee said I also forgot about Kraven the Hunter, so there's that one as well, which is also...
I don't think it's come out yet, or it's about to come out.
No, it's already out. I'm pretty sure it's already out. I think. Yeah, you can look it up to double check, but he said, Cyberlarius said, I refuse to watch any of those Sony films. He also said, I think Jared Leto could come back as Morbius in the MCU, but not as a main role, but a supporting role in the Midnight Sun show or film. He could be good at something like that. I don't know, man. I think Jared Leto's a joke.
I think a lot of their movies and TV series have just become garbage. So I think it's just Marvel as a whole has definitely, since you've had the war and stuff like that.
Well, what was the movie that Deadpool and Wolverine though kind of reinvigorated a little bit of hope. It reinvigorated a little hope in me, though, that there might be still some stuff that they can do that I enjoy, because that movie was fantastic.
But at large, since you've had oh my God, what's that?
Endgame.
Since you've had Endgame, blanked on the movie thing. Since you've had that, it's just been a straight. You've had some.
Yeah, no, there's been a decline. I feel like until Deadpool and Wolverine, it was a pretty fast decline.
And then you had a bunch of other movies, and it goes back.
Yeah, but Sony, I think, doesn't count for that really. It's obviously not an MCU.
Marvel as a whole, though, it's not just Sony; it's all the MCU movies have become garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
more garbage.
I would say I want to say that even the stuff that I didn't care for, I don't think was necessarily garbage of what I watched. It was just I didn't care for it. I was burnt out.
You're getting into the lesser characters that just nobody cares about. Let's be real, at large.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
Poorly written. That's part of the problem. There are lesser characters, and you've got lesser writers doing the job. So nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of problems with it. You had to.
How many people actually heard of Kraven that aren't like super into Marvel?
Well, if you watch the 90s Spider-Man animated series, everybody knows Kraven.
Everyone's heard of Thor. Kraven, like some of these characters, nobody's unless you're like super into it. You at large, people haven't heard of. Like,
fair enough.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I mean, if you watch 90s Spider-Man, all of these characters are huge.
No, but like your main market is the casual viewer. And if they haven't heard of it, they're not going to go see it. Like, let's just be real.
No, obviously it's not going to push numbers, obviously.
Yeah, and you've got lesser actors doing lesser roles. Like, let's just be fair. It's got lesser writing, so there's like a bunch of stuff. And you've had Marvel, MCU have getting progressively worse. People will start see bad movies, but after a while they notice a trend. They're just going to stop watching your movies. It doesn't matter. Kraven could have been a 10 out of 10 movie, but because of the record as a whole, less people would have gone to see the movie just because it's down. It's like a snowball spiraling. Once you lose somebody, it's really hard to get that person back.
It is.
So if you lose 50 million viewers that loved your first movies and they hated the next 10, it's hard to get those people back. It's going to take a while to get them to come back. I love to be, wrong about certain things, especially when it comes to like stuff that I did, really care about or really enjoy at one point. Like, cause before, everything pre-Endgame, like I cared a lot about. I was like very invested in the MCU because I just thought the movies were great. There was super like popcorn flicks, fun. Pre-Endgame, there was one bad movie.
What was that? The Doctor Strange?
No, it was is it Captain Marvel?
Was it
the one right before Endgame? I thought it was Captain Marvel.
Didn't Captain Marvel come out after Endgame?
No, because
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm seeing there's so many of them. I'm getting mixed up.
Anybody hate on was Captain Marvel.
That was mostly because the actress and her stupid comments. That was the reason why. Really, largely.
Trend of even if your movie's good, your actor goes.
Brie Larson's an idiot.
Stupid crap, and people perceive what the actor says as it being in the movie. They don't like what they say, and they don't. It's this whole thing.
That kind of was like,
people in your industry, developers, producers, writers. It doesn't matter what's in your game. You come out and you say stupid stuff on the internet, and it does two things. One, it's bad PR as a whole, and it gives your haters ammunition to push out bad publicity that other people will eventually pick up on.
I think that
they re-push it back out. It's just like sometimes you're like, I don't care what you think or what you're trying to do. Let your game speak for itself. You come out and you say stupid stuff, and it's gonna provoke a negative response from the community as a whole. Especially when a decent percentage of, at the very least, a large percentage of your vocal community is just frothing at the mouth looking for it. They get it. They're going to blast it out there. Yeah. And everyone, at least a decent portion of the community is going to hear it. And they're just going to be like, oh, you say this thing? Well, your whole game's bad. I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want to touch your studio game.
You can't do that with internet culture. No, you just can't. You can't do it because there's too many people to come at you in an instant. That article comes out, you're done.
How are you not getting trained in your studio not to come out and antagonize a potential audience? Because at the very least, it will be used against you, regardless of what you think. It's just bad PR tactics. It really is. What your actual view. You might fully believe what you say, but going on the internet and saying it, like people look for this stuff.
Do you think that
into your history
these people making these comments along the way with both video games and movies? Do you think they should have certain guidelines that they have to follow with what they say in public to PR, the press? Do you think they should not be allowed to say certain things at all, or
people go on
Twitter,
they
lose pay or something like that?
That's technically their own account. It's not officially tied to the company, but the problem is people find out. It's just one of those things where it's like, you can say that, but
if you have money on the line, like you could potentially lose money for saying these people.
have a relatively small audience. Might their average likes might get 10 likes, and they come out and say stupid thing and it blows up. It's like people have like Twitter brain. You're just thinking about the initial "I gotcha" or "this is what I say," and then it gets blown up. You delete your tweet. It doesn't matter. It's already out there, and then people will be like, "Oh, let's dig in. Oh, he does this. He's promoted this. He works for this industry. He's doing on this game," and then that all gets blasted out, and it's just bad PR when it doesn't need to be there. People are already going to find stuff to not like about certain games with the whole DEI stuff. Then you come out and you back certain things up, or you say things that weren't even
had nothing to do with the movie.
It may or may not exist in your game that people didn't know about, but then you say that, and then the assumption is that belief is then projected onto whatever you're making,
onto the project, yeah.
And then it's bad PR. It's just like, if you want to say something stupid, use anonymity on the internet, or B, just don't say certain things on the internet, because it's like, have you not learned?
I feel like these people should just
hire a minority.
Yeah, I don't quite understand, because like when I if I'm on the line for something that's big that's not mine, this is not my thing, I'm just in it. Like, how are you not incredibly careful? Because in my head, at least for me, I don't know.
Twitter brain, it's terminally online thinking. It's short-term thinking. That's why after the lot of people that say these things,
social media is just not healthy for
like
people.
A few people to see it, and then a lot of the times either they private, they delete their account, they delete the tweet. But the problem is it's already out there. It's there. Blasted 10 out of 10. You have the whole Streisand effect. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. You've said it. There's no pulling back from that, unless you were to be out in front and being like, I was wrong or whatever. Like, that'd be the only way. But a lot of these people don't believe that. They believe what they say. And it's just, say what you want about people turning the line. It's on both sides, but like, it's general PR stuff. You need what you say is on the internet forever. We learned this 20 years ago. It's like, there's certain things
it doesn't make sense.
You're just an idiot. Like, it's just, there's no long-term thinking about what could happen. Say you blast it out, you've got a few people following you, or a few hundred people, and on average you might get 10 likes a tweet or something like that. The problem is it takes for you one thing to say to get blown up, and then it's just, whether that's your intention or not, there are people out there looking for stuff to attack you with. Like, this at this point. Why would you make your situation far worse?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. We got
let's be fair. Especially with a game I didn't think was going to flop when you're dealing with Dragon Age. Well, essentially it did flop more or less, and it looks like it lost money. So it kind of shows that these people there is an influence and a distrust and a not a like for certain things. So you're coming out and just making the problem already worse. Like, it's going to end one of two ways. Either you're just going to work on smaller projects and you're going to be fine, or you're going to eventually be out of a job because your games don't sell and your studio closes, which is just, 101 of economy. If you make a product that nobody wants, you're going to be out of a job.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, because I just feel like people need to not be idiots. That's how I kind of feel.
Yeah. I mean, it goes down to the bigger issue of a lot of your audience wants one thing, you don't give it to them, and it's a whole issue in and of itself. But at the very least, don't make a problem worse by coming out and saying certain things that are going to be amplified and used against you as proof of like X, Y, and Z, why this side is right and this side's wrong.
That makes sense. No, I'm with you for sure. Mr. Coffee said, current day MCU movies aren't made for comic book fans. They're made for mainstream audience. Cyberlarry said, I'm still to believe that the only true bad MCU film is Thor: The Dark World. That to be fair, that movie was pretty bad. I forgot about that one. That was a rough movie. I don't know if you watched that one.
I think that came out after Infinity War.
Did it?
Or Endgame. I'm pretty sure it did.
Let's see. Thor.
Which would just go to prove my argument. 100% it came out after the fact.
100%?
I feel very confident in that.
It came out 2013. I was going to say this movie. I was like, this movie came out way before that. Yeah.
Okay, so there's at least two bad ones, but
yeah. But I mean, like, to your point, yeah, I get what you're saying for sure. We also got, for last small news topic, we got Pokemon Legends ZA. Rumor reveals release date and starters. Do you know what we got going on here?
Yeah, this was coming in. Essentially, it's being rumored that it's Legends ZA is coming out May 16th, which would then more than likely say, well, if this game is rumored to come out then you expecting the Switch to come out around that same time. You expect that this game to be a launch title if it's coming out next year. This would be if you don't have like a Mario game and you obviously don't have a Zelda game, well, Pokemon's your next big game that would in theory be able to sell consoles. That's a first-party Nintendo game. Like those are your 3 big IPs.
I wonder. So, what was the date? May 13th. Is that what you said?
May 16th.
May 16th.
So you're speaking like late spring.
We for sure got Switch 2 by then. I would think. I think
May would make it makes more sense in March because say they come out and announce it sometime in January, February. A month is just not long enough to properly market a console.
I think it's
3 to 4 months makes a lot more sense.
I think here's what's confusing because I think it comes out in April. Like that's my guess. I think it comes out April. So it's like when are we getting the announcement? It's got to be early January, right? Because you got to have a couple months leading up to that console to anticipate it for the modern.
At least 3 months from announcement to, and that's the shortest window.
I feel like we have
4 to 6 months.
You think so?
Which May would be on that. May would be what, 4 months?
So are you saying this would be potentially a launch title, along with Metroid?
Well, Metroid is not going to sell the copies for a launch title. A Pokemon game would sell the console. Especially if it's an exclusive to the console.
Have we ever had a Pokemon launch title?
For a console? No. Have we got it? I don't know.
I don't even think we have for handheld. I don't even think we have for that. I don't think Pokemon's ever been a launch title. I mean, we've had like Pokemon Dash and stuff like that where it's like mainline, or this is technically mainline. So, I mean, like a big title, like not a Pokemon Dash or anything like that, but
I was trying to double check. I mean, to be fair though, Pokemon would sell, especially if they decide.
Oh, for sure.
This is exclusive. It's like next gen. I think that, to be fair, I think that's what they should do. Probably with Prime 4 is like it's designed for the Switch 2. It's exclusive to this console. Like, to be fair, like you think
Prime 4 should be exclusive rather than cross?
Probably at this point. I think it would benefit from the hardware upgrade.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought you said
on the Switch.
I thought you said you thought it was going to be cross-platform.
I do think it will be, but I still think the game would benefit if it was developed
for sure. I agree with that.
Graphical fidelity,
and I think that's why the rebooting the development happened was the Switch 2. I'm still with that.
Switch's hardware is it's at the end of its life. It has hard limitations.
Yeah, I'm with
Pokemon, you. If it was to be a launch title, it would make more sense to just be exclusive because then it forces people that want to play this game to then buy the next console.
So I was looking at when
launch titles need to be exclusive.
When did the reboot for Prime 4 happen? Because I was looking at here. When did DLSS come out? It came out February 2019. So I was like,
happened in like January 2019, I think.
Okay, so I wonder if that had anything to do with this. As far as the Switch 2 hardware is concerned.
I don't know. I have no idea to be at this point.
I'd be curious if that had anything to do with it, because we know this has DLSS, so I'm curious if they're like, oh, this brand new technology is out. Let's take advantage of this.
I think this comes down to whatever this announcement will tell us, because is it going to be backwards or is it going to be hard for the Switch 2?
What does your gut tell you? That you think it's going to be cross-platform?
Yeah, I think it's primarily developed for the Switch 2, but it'll be cross-platform. But I think obviously it will play a whole lot better on the Switch 2.
For sure.
Pokemon, like if you wanted a launch title to sell the console, it makes sense for Pokemon to be it, as well as it be exclusive to the Switch 2 and it not be backwards compatible to the regular Switch. You need a reason to buy the new hardware.
Yeah, I agree.
And having a cross-console game doesn't push the hardware sales if you want it to.
Just go back to what you're saying. They're saying Love and Thunder came out after. That was the one you're thinking of for Thor.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I thought that was like the worst Thor movie. Because that's Thor 3, right?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. 100%. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, I swore the worst one came out after.
Yeah, I knew that there was one that came out. I just couldn't remember what it was.
So we were you said one thing. I thought a different one.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so we're going to get into a couple questions before we jump into the big news, because there was just a few things we had there. One of the big ones being a Switch 2, some leaked rumors stuff. And then also something that Mr. Coffee sent me. Actually, let's hit that real quick because he sent me this in a message. Let's bring this up real quick. Or he tagged me in it. Let me see. Let's check. Notifications. Okay, so here we are. We got this is crazy. So this was 23 hours ago. Permaband on Twitter put this out. They said, I'm just going to read word for word what the tweet says. It says, it looks like the whole news of a lot of CD Projekt Red devs are leaving CDPR is not just real, but it's practically Exodus levels of leaving. Ship of thesis in action. The director of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has even opened his own studio, now named Everwilds. Many ex-CDPR staff joined him, including the lead writer and narrative director of Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. This again does not fill me with optimism for Witcher 4. The when has CD Projekt Red ever failed us in the writing, and have faith it is CD Projekt Red counter argument. I personally question how much of the writing team is CDPR as we actually know them. Either way, I'm looking at Rebel Wolves with interest. I hope they get started on something soon.
Because I'll say this, we knew for a while that the Witcher 3 writers, the development team is not the same as the Witcher 4. When it came out, it was
correct.
It's like, yeah, but it's like, let's be fair. That game came out in 2015. It's been almost 10 years. How many of those same people would still be there? And
correct.
To be fair, CDPR has not been shy in being prominent about, and they've won awards when it comes to dealing with DEI.
Yeah,
they're heavily into that stuff.
I worry about that so much for Witcher 4. It's like,
fair, as much as I loved Cyberpunk 2077, there's very obvious elements of DEI into that game. It's just super in your face.
It's not in your face, but it's there and it's present.
It's obvious. It's very obvious that it's there.
Yeah, for sure. Which is unfortunate because it's like, all right, so we're starting to see this. What's this going to be for the next big game? I think I have a gut feeling it's not going to be good, which is unfortunate because I love Witcher.
Let's be fair, because it's one thing to say have like ideas, but it's the trend of certain studios and the industry as a whole is what I tend to look at. And like, let's be fair, there was a decent game there. It was shorter. It's not like Cyberpunk is this perfect, wonderful game.
Yeah,
to be fair, it launched way like years.
I mean, it was a rough launch.
A big problem, and it took them forever to fix this game, which then eats into development time of other games. So that starts it, releasing broken games. Then you're like, well, if you're willing to do this, what else you're willing to trim the fat on and be lazy on? Well, the next obvious thing is your writing, to be fair.
Yeah.
Maybe your world doesn't pop. Well, I think the world design's the last to go, because that's like the biggest thing they can sell. Is like, oh, look at this game. We could do this and that. We're just not going to tell you about the writing until the game launches.
Yeah. I don't think it's obviously not good news if all of that is accurate and there is like an Exodus level.
Fair, it's kind of a wait and see at this point, because now you're dealing with there's like a whole issue of the people going back and forth with Ciri being a Witcher. That's a whole discussion in and of itself.
With what?
With Ciri, whether or not there's like a whole and I just don't know enough about the lore of the world or the books, but there's like a whole issue with the lore as far as, could Ciri even be a Witcher, or could the idea, or based off the lore, like, are they changing stuff? Could Ciri even be a Witcher in the first place? Like, a whole discussion going on of like, could this even been the direction? It's not that she's the main character, but could she even be a Witcher in the first place? It's a whole, and there are probably people that are into the lore that could go both ways.
Yeah,
because I've seen it, but like I just myself, like, I just don't know enough about the lore.
Fair enough.
Books. I've only played The Witcher 3, and I didn't get that big into the war. It's a whole issue. Some people saying, "Oh, she absolutely can." People be like, "No, absolutely not." I'm just like, well, regardless of that might not even be the issue of The Witcher 4. The writing could just be absolutely crap. To be fair.
That's
for me. It's like the writing hasn't been the worst, but I'm like, industry-wide trend says it's kind of where we're going, and it's not good. But I'll remain a wait and see. It's not like a whole. The moment we saw the Veilguard, where it's like, oh yeah, this is very obviously dog crap. Like I want to wait and see and actually have proof of that's the way they're going.
Yeah, just had a couple of comments. We had Mr. Coffee said she's a Witcher, but the issue is her elf blood shouldn't make it possible. And then Lorgitis said she's a Witcher, so it's definitely going off the rails. The books, hold on. So it's definitely going off the rails from the books. So hopefully they can spin a good story.
Well, we do know because I did watch some stuff in the past day or two. The fact that they didn't making her a Witcher, I can't remember his name, but the actual writer of the books that these games are based off of, they didn't even bother to say like, hey, is this even possible based off of your books that the game's based off of?
So this is this will be taking a liberty.
Because some people say where it's like I have seen like you want to call it a middle of the ground argument, where it's like in theory like she could, but some people are saying like but Yennefer and Geralt would have never allowed this, or we never would have been okay with this based off of 1, 2, 3 and the books.
Gotcha.
It's like no, like we wouldn't even agree to her going down that path and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have seen an argument, and I'll say it's middle of the road because it's not a hard, absolutely yes, absolutely no, and the fervent argument. It's more the middle, the one that makes the most sense to me in the middle ground of like. Based off the lore, like that probably is the best argument to go down, but I'll just have to sit with other people that actually properly played all the games into the lore, read the books, and just know a lot of this general knowledge. But I mean, that's until this game comes out, it's going to be a discussion because, I mean, it's the internet. It is what it is, and well, to be fair, a lot of people aren't willing to give the benefit of the doubt because, like, well, we've done this before and we've seen what we've gotten from these other games as a whole. So it's like a lot of people will remain skeptical or not going to give that. It's like you're going to have to prove me wrong that this isn't the way you're going.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what happens because I'll be curious to see what happens for sure. I guess we're just going to
ongoing discussion for the next few years.
I think so too. We'll just transition over to the other news that we have. I didn't realize what time it was. So we got Grumpy Face Studios, who was involved with Cartoon Network, is getting a bunch of games delisted. So this is their tweet. They said, "We are not involved with the decision to delist our Steven Universe, the Light Trilogy games, or our Teeny Titans games. We're also unable to speak on it further. All questions about the sunsetting of the game should be seen to Cartoon Network and WB. We are heartbroken," which is crazy to see a studio come out and say this that's involved with, obviously, Cartoon Network on the game.
But the website it's hosted on shut down, essentially.
Yeah, they're being delisted on Steam. No, these are being delisted off of Steam. Well? Yeah. These are Steam.
That makes far less sense then.
It doesn't. So we got 𝐒𝐿𝐴, Let's Play Heroes, Samurai Jack, Battle Through Time, which is a freaking awesome game. I mean, that was a really cool revisit.
It's under the Cartoon Network, what you said?
No, these are separate from the website thing. So these are actual
no, but are they tied to Cartoon as far as like Cartoon Network owning these games?
Yeah, because they're delisting them.
Okay, then what it sounds like is the studio doesn't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it.
There's a licensing issue there.
Right.
There's a legality licensing issue where it has to be delisted until that gets sorted behind the scenes.
Which is
sounds like
interesting to see because now the Cartoon Network website no longer exists. All it does is transfer you straight over to Max to watch Cartoon Network, which is crazy.
They own Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because that 32 years of the website, which is crazy
that just shows
that it's been around.
Dropped off. It's not the same company it was 20 years ago.
It's one of those things where it's like,
I don't of progressive bad decisions that essentially ran that company more or less into the ground.
What were the I'm unaware of what would have caused this. What bad decisions would it be? Besides, like
the progressive of
like you mean their cartoons that were coming out, like their decision on what was coming out and stuff like that.
The leadership is bad. I mean, for the big thing is like, well, if that site's shutting down, it means nobody was going to that website.
Right.
It was a net loss of money, which just means whoever was running or managing
hosting it,
ran to the ground, or you weren't able to adapt to a changing landscape.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I'm just like, because I'm thinking back to the hours and stuff that we spent on that website.
Yeah,
like
because I mean, to be fair, that was like peak of Flash games. Like that's pretty much what
for
was on
sure,
Flash games.
For sure.
Small people would make games and then would push them on to other projects, but it just feels like they were unable to adapt to move their games to other hardware and stuff like that. Maybe it's free to play on a phone or on the Switch or on Steam or something like that, or like a $5 game. But
yeah,
it just felt like it just feels like Cartoon Network just isn't the same company it was. Like in the last decade, how many good shows have Cartoon Network actually pushed out that were like new IPs? Or when was it they stopped doing in-house animation? Because we know that stopped at one point. Like a lot of these old Cartoon Network cartoons were developed in-house.
So to add,
they started outsourcing.
Add on to that, they did put out a couple other tweets and some replies. They said, also, beyond supporting us, please continue to support all things Steven Universe and efforts to #renew Steven Universe 2. And be sure to let your feelings about what's happened known to the powers that be. We're going to continue to fight against this as much as we can. The whole situation with the delisting is horrible and will always hurt, but ultimately, we just love making games. We'll continue to channel our passion and enjoyment into that. Having kind folks like yourself following along with that and supporting us means the world. And then another reply from them. They said, this means a lot to us. Thank you. We'd be so grateful to have anyone who enjoyed our Steven Universe Light Trilogy games or Teeny Titans try out our current game, Castle Doombad, or just follow along. So it's interesting to see a studio really come back hard on a decision for games to be delisted. They obviously, this is a smaller studio. They obviously put their passion in this because they're retweeting all this stuff and they're tweeting these replies and stuff like that. So they're just you have to put yourself in their shoes. The amount of hours and stuff that they spent developing these certain games, that they're probably attached to them emotionally in some capacity.
I think there's a chance for these games to come back, but that's why I feel like this has to deal with a licensing legality issue behind the scenes, which is why it was taken out of their hands. Because it's very obvious this studio doesn't have the IP to these games, so there's a legality issue there that forced these games to be delisted. That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah, that's there's something's going on for sure, obviously, right? So,
but at the very least, it's more of it pushes more of the idea. It's like, well, at this point, maybe you should take what you've learned in these games and develop your own IP to where this won't happen to you ever again.
Mr.
Like, let's be fair, when you're dealing with licensed IPs, at any time that rug can be yanked out from underneath of you, regardless of what you do.
Yeah.
They don't own these games. They don't own these IPs. Like, that's also the other problem when you're dealing with licensed stuff.
Mr. Coffee brought up a really good point. He said, was Cartoon Network even relevant in the world of YouTube? And said, kids don't really watch cartoons from one source anymore. I think that's a really good point because I don't think they ever adapted well to streaming and to the YouTube culture and all of that. So I don't think they adapted well to it.
Yeah, because let's be fair, like regular television, while it's still around, it's a dying medium. Like it's the older generation, people in their 50s and 60s and older that are really the only ones that are kind of keeping this around. And even a lot of them are what you call it back in the day. They're cutting the cord. They're going all digital.
Oh, I cut the cord a long time.
Regular television,
10 years ago, probably.
Is going away. Maybe not completely, but it's not what most people watch. But yeah, it's like they never properly adapted to both streaming and into the YouTube world. I mean, what YouTube started in like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
Like when YouTube first came around, Cartoon Network was still doing well, but it was, I think around 2008 is when Cartoon Network started to decline.
I think they still put out some good stuff that I didn't necessarily care. Like Steven Universe, for instance, I know it has a huge cult following. I didn't necessarily care about it, but objectively it was good.
It was never made in-house, though. That's the problem. When Cartoon Network stopped making cartoons in-house...
How do you know that? I didn't even know that they outsourced anything, so that's news to me. But no, I think that's a really good point. Like they definitely didn't adapt well to streaming, and like you can see now they're on Max. But how many people do you know that talk about Max? That's all I want to know, because I know I don't even have it. I don't think I've ever had it. Mr. Coffee said this isn't also a Cartoon Network issue. This is a Disney problem too. Do children even recognize who Mickey Mouse or Goofy are? Yeah. So, I mean, that's, it's a good point. Like Mario is now more recognizable. Is the most recognizable franchise in the world. Isn't that right? Isn't Mario now more recognized than Mickey Mouse or something? According to like new generations.
To be fair, Mickey Mouse hasn't been relevant in quite a while.
Yeah.
That's more of a Disney not knowing what to
do with their properties. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. And then shout out to the Rushmore Show. Thanks for coming in here. Another good podcast.
Yeah, okay. So I guess maybe it was when they were sold, because Warner Brothers currently owns it, but apparently Apparently Hanna-Barbera is the ones that started Cartoon Network. Is what
Yeah.
this looks like.
Of course.
But obviously the ownership moved around. I'm trying to dig around and figure out, but
Lurita said, "I love Cartoon Network, and it was my favorite channel." Yeah, I mean, I loved it too. So, what you looking up?
I'm trying to figure out when they started outsourcing animation.
Yeah, Mr. Coffee said it's been passed around. So, I mean, I didn't know that. That's news to me, but it's not like I've been necessarily.
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to find resources on a short notice without like digging through.
Let me see. I'll type in ownership. So they're owned by Warner Brothers Discovery now.
Yeah.
Let's see with their history. We got August 1986, Turner Broadcasting acquired
I'm pretty
Metro.
sure the whole cartoon stuff was all made in house via Cartoon Network. Like they did their own animation. They didn't outsource it to different studios.
So it looks like in 1994, Hanna-Barbera's new division, Cartoon Network Studios, was founded. Started productions on What a Cartoon.
Essentially, like cartoon is what that.
Yeah.
What that originally was.
Yeah.
All those were animated by Cartoon Network.
Yeah, like stuff like Cow and Chicken and Robot in the Big City
and then
stuff like that.
Essentially, they started outsourcing stuff because Steven Universe was not made by Cartoon Network. It's not their. I'm pretty sure it's not their IP.
Okay.
Warner Brothers might own it, but I don't think Cartoon Network owns it.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. That would make sense that they just put it on there.
It's just the
But that also would make sense if Cartoon Network is the one delisting these games. Then why would it be if Cartoon Network owns the game for Steven Universe? Wouldn't you think they own Steven Universe?
Different companies probably own Steven Universe from Warner Brothers to whoever animated it to the game.
Gotcha.
Like it's a licensed game to that studio.
That makes sense.
Even if the studio is owned by Warner Brothers, it's still licensed out to them. They don't own it.
So
if anything behind the scenes changes, it can just be pulled from them because it's not their IP.
Mr. Coffee put in the chat: Turner, Time Warner, AOL Time Warner, and then just Time Warner, Warner Brothers, AT&T, and Discovery. Apparently, all on Cartoon Network. So, yeah, I mean, it's been passed around.
Different people that have their hand in the pie. So that, because to be fair, like just because you have like one major corporation, say you've got Corporation A, where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corporations, and all those might have a piece in Corporation 1A. Well, they're all under the same umbrella. There's technically different companies that own them and stuff like that, and there's different legality and licensing. And you could have, say, 10% owned by something that Company A doesn't own or something like that, and it becomes a whole mess of legal issues and stuff like that.
All right,
that's always it's like the same with gaming. It's why licensed IPs have always been the hardest to deal with, and for some
sure
studios to come out and bring back because you have issues, legal issues, licensing issues, people you have to pay and move money around to get stuff to make it happen. Compared to this game belongs to this studio, so they can do whatever they want with the IP.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. So I guess we sort of got an answer on that.
Without knowing anything, it's very easy to understand. Probably what happened is there's other things going on that forced that just pretty much pulled it out of the studio's hands.
Sure.
For that one specifically.
All right, so on Christmas we got a tweet out. So context to this was Next Handheld on Twitter. That's their handle. Tweeted out that they were going to be releasing images of the Switch 2 on Christmas, and they did tweet out image. So if you are watching the audio, you will have to look up the image I'm talking about, but it is Next Handheld on X. He put out, "This holiday season, I couldn't resist sharing this gift with you all. Some might call it an early reveal, but I call it the best kept secret of the year." So this is an interesting image because to me, this image looks off. Looking at the background, if you really zoom into this and kind of look at it, it doesn't look real to me. Like, it looks like a fake background. Like, it looks like an AI background.
A few posts later that day, he posted a picture of something and said it's all just AI generated.
I think that was a joke. I replied to the comments. I don't think I was legit.
That I didn't know. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like, just look at the tweet replies to that first picture. because like you'll see, I mean, somebody put all he want for Christmas is likes and engagements. Let's see, the image is 100% real, guys. Someone said it's not AI. Just zoom in, look at the details with the eye emoji. Obviously, it's like a joke. Somebody said nice AI buddy. Somebody else says these.
I don't necessarily believe that it's real. I would remain skeptical, but I mean, who
Oh,
knows?
so apparently websites that test the it's called Site Engine that tests whether an image is AI came up 99% generated AI.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. Some of those are hit or miss though. Sometimes images are far easier to tell AI than say something that's written.
What? I mean, what's your take on, like, for instance, the stand on it being 2 double kick flip stand?
I think, I think they're gonna go with something far more robust. That's why I didn't think it was real.
And what?
I think Nintendo's kind of already said they want to go the whole robust route because you look at what they did for the OLED Switch. It's a far more robust stand, a full-on leg.
Correct.
So that alone just kind of like this is kind of fake. But because Nintendo won't come out and reveal it, it just breeds a bunch of people coming out and pushing stuff out. It's like every game or console release, there's so much stuff that's out there. It's hard to figure out what's real and what's fake. So I just will be skeptic and be like, I'll assume it's fake until proven otherwise. When you get the official announcement.
Yeah. So he put out another image on Christmas where it showed some details with, like, for instance, the Switch 2 logo being just basically the Switch Joy-Cons with a 2 there. But to me, that 2 looks off. Like, if you really scan in and look at it, like, I've got it zoomed in 150. Some reason that 2 looks off to me. Like, it doesn't look like something that would be legit.
It just looks fake. Is really what it comes down to.
I even put out an image of the dock. Now,
but it doesn't even need to be AI to be fake. This could just be good old regular Photoshop. He had something and then went in and tweaked it after the fact.
The dock looks more believable to me because we pretty much know that the handheld is. We do know that the handheld is going to be bigger and that it's going to protrude more out of the dock than the Switch 1 did. So like the dock looks more believable to me than anything.
All I can say is the fact that it's such a vague image just kind of goes against him. It's not like high quality images, what you would expect from an actual leak. 1 hour ago, the way he's showing it makes it just look so fake and not real. Like,
it really does.
Why would you not take a high quality picture and prove otherwise?
Yeah, the pictures are not good, and the one picture,
low quality,
the first
vague.
The first picture looks fine, but it's everything else. It just looks off. Like, it doesn't look legit. But then, like, the picture of the dock, like, I've got it zoomed in just at a 100%, so at regular size. I'm like, why is this so blurry?
This feels like one of two things. Either it's intentional baiting and trolling, or it's just something he did just for engagement.
Their location says Kyoto, Japan, too. Which
that doesn't mean anything, though.
No,
How many people live in Japan that don't have access to this? That wouldn't be willing to lie.
For sure. And then 1 hour ago, he said, I opened the kickstand and found micro SD Express engraved. I don't know what that means, but...
Well, then post a picture of it. A high-quality def. Why are you just going to say that?
He's got no replies to it. Yeah, I don't know.
It feels straight fake. That's 100%.
Mr. Coffee said the background doesn't make sense. I don't think it does either. The location for, like, the image is like, what is that?
It's just how the picture's taken. I don't even care about the background. It's what he's actually showing just looks fake and low quality.
Yeah, he also said
image. Like, if you actually had somebody who was leaking this, you'd see it. You'd see the full quality of stuff, the box, the actual console. You'd see everything. They would leak everything if they had access to it.
He also said it just doesn't look real when you take a step back and try to figure out how it would make sense. It doesn't. I agree with that point because. I feel like it doesn't make sense.
Even the dock, the side dock just looks fake. But on top of that, because this was published a few days, like 3 days ago via Game Rant, there's a rumor out there that January 8th would be the date that the Switch 2 actually gets revealed.
Wait, what do
you think of that?
Isn't that the date for the PlayStation event?
It's around CES, but obviously Nintendo might be there, but obviously they do all their stuff pre-recorded.
January 8th. think that makes sense because if we just talked about it coming out, if it's coming out in spring, you've got to have at least, I would say, 3 months of buildup, at least 3 months, 90 days.
I guess, say you wanted to come out in May, you'd need to come out in January. But I guess to be fair, if they did, I came out and said it before, like if they didn't announce it before Thanksgiving, they were going to wait till after the holiday season because they don't want to negatively impact sales during the holiday, which is a very important time
for sales.
For sales is the Christmas window. You don't release stuff in that window because it hurts you.
I'd be curious.
Wait after the fact. So coming like a week after, like January 8th, if they wanted it to, that makes sense. But it's a wait and see.
I would be curious to see what this holiday season did for sales. I'm actually kind of excited to see what sales brought in.
It's going to take a month or two to get those sales numbers in, but
how long does it take? A couple months for Famitsu to get sales in? I thought they got it week by week.
Nintendo knows immediately. Let's be fair. Well, there's two things you got to think about. One, because when hardware gets pushed out to like say Walmart, Walmart pays Nintendo for those. So Nintendo's already got the money. And they have to turn around and sell it, and then they report the inventory of like, hey, we've sold X amount, we need X amount more, and stuff like that. So that's why there's a delay. Because if Nintendo just told you what they shipped to stores to retail, well, not all those are always going to get sold, or they might sit on a shelf for quite a while. So you have to take into account the inventory and stuff like that.
They did the special edition Mario Kart bundle for this holiday season.
So that's why it takes some time, because how many Switches did you think they sent to just Amazon alone that Amazon resells? And Amazon doesn't want to run out of stuff, so they buy a lot that they might sit on for a while. So you have to take that into account too, because if it's just being sit in retail on storage on shelves and stores and stuff like that, or in warehouses,
the number would be way higher if they counted that.
They pay Nintendo for that. It's not actually shipped to it, so you can't count it as a sale.
Right.
So that's why it takes a little bit of time. But Nintendo's going to know, then once they accumulate everything, then they release it. Like they have like windows when they do like their quarterly stuff for their shareholders. That's usually when you get those numbers.
Gotcha.
They're just not going to be like, we've sold 100 today, 1,000 tomorrow.
I just thought Famitsu got like a weekly report themselves. Or is that just on game sales, software sales?
It depends. And it also depends. Like, once Nintendo, do they want to release it quarterly, or they might, once they have numbers of officially they sold whatever milestone, then they'll come out and say that. They might come out and say that early, but I mean, there's just standardized ways they have to come out. They will come out and release it. It's just kind of boring.
I think January 8th makes. I mean, January has. I feel like it has to be announced in January, because it just, to me, doesn't make sense. It's got to be a spring. I mean, we always, just like the Switch launch.
Don't we always just get a general direct in January?
We get a January direct. Yeah. It's normally at the end of the month, which is kind of weird about the January 8th date. But I feel like regardless, it has to be in January. That's just how I feel. I feel like it has to be in January, because it doesn't, to me, line up if it is going to be a spring launch, which obviously this is not. There's no damn way this is a holiday launch, because to me that doesn't make sense. The end of 2025
with some of those games, and they wanted to launch on its own, but whenever they come out an announcement, that before they even tell you, that's going to tell you, because realistically you're going to have at a minimum 4 to 6 months. You're not getting a winter release on this. It's not coming out in March. There's not enough time to market it. Even if they announced it next week, I just don't think there's enough time.
If it gets announced in January, then I can see an April launch. I can see that. And that would make sense for if there's a different launch title than Pokemon, but Pokemon comes out a month later to keep the momentum of the consoles being sold right away. That to me makes more sense than a Pokemon launch title.
If you want to keep the momentum up, it would make sense to do what they did with the Switch, where you had Zelda launch and then you wait 6 months and you get a Mario game. Like if Pokemon wasn't
Mario launch with it too? Didn't they both launch?
Mario came out like.
Did it?
September.
It
came out like 6 months later.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like if you want to keep the momentum a month, well, the momentum's not going to drop in a month, but in 6 months, when your second or third big batch comes in, that's when you want to drop the game to maintain the sales into like the holiday season or something like that.
Yeah, but Pokemon's still like sense. A month later. I could see that still. I could see. At
that point, why not just release it with the console when it launches?
Because I think they still want to try to sell Metroid. I still think they want to at least attempt.
It would make more sense to then delay it by 6 months.
I don't know.
You don't want to release games too close to each other, because there's some people that would just wait that extra month.
But
you need that delay to get them to buy and play this game, and then you play there. Because you got to think, a lot of people are going to play this casually, so they're going to play like 5 to 10 hours a week, which might take a few weeks to beat a game, then they move on to the next one. So you don't want major titles releasing right next to each other, because the bigger one's gonna nerf the smaller, the two big titles. Like, let's just be fair. If you could only buy 2 of those games, you're gonna pick the bigger of the 2, and it's gonna hurt both. So you want those games like really kind of separated.
That makes sense.
Not stepping on each other's toes. Either they're both launch release window, or you're gonna have a 3 to 6 month window delay. That way you don't have to deal with sales stepping on each other's toes.
Lurgitus asks, do you think it does release in April or March?
I think it's closer to late spring, or I would say March of the two, personally, just because I still think you want closer to a 6-month window from announcement to release. But that's also not assuming that they didn't delay their announcement from the original plan from development. So they still plan on releasing it around the same time, but the announcement got delayed for whatever reason.
Gotcha. I'm still on the April train, but I don't know. Didn't Switch 1 come out in April? Didn't Wii U come out in April?
It came out in March, but it was announced back in the fall.
Oh, okay. I don't. It's hard to say, man. It's really hard to say with this one, because I still feel like this was meant to come out in fall of this year. I feel like it was meant to, and then for some reason got delayed.
Oh, 100%. Everything got pushed to the right.
So do you also think that it was probably supposed to be a fall 2024 release, and then it got delayed?
No, fall 2024 announcement release? No.
I have announcement right before the holidays.
I mean, that's what they did with the Switch 1. They announced it in like October.
I didn't realize.
You don't announce it like right before the holiday season, but you can announce it like in the fall, because there's enough time where it's not necessarily going to impact your sales.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
still think you want like 6 months of marketing time properly to get out to everybody and properly market it.
I guess to close out, what were your top 3 titles for this year that you picked up and that you played?
The games that came out this year?
Yeah.
For a fact, it's going to be Stellar Blade, and then Black Myth Wukong, and then the other one I'm trying to make sure I don't mix up games that I played, because I bought and played games for the first time this year, but they didn't necessarily come out this year.
I gotcha.
So I wanted to go through and double. Actually, you know what? It might have been Path of Exile 2. I might put that in that 3rd slot.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that came out in 2020. Yeah, that came out in December. Metaphor might end up being my favorite game. It's just I have a long way to go before I beat that game. But I had a lot of fun time with playing Paths of Exile too.
My list is pretty similar.
It's kind of up in the air.
My list is pretty similar.
Tied as number 3.
I've got Metaphor being probably my favorite of this year. Stellar Blade, and then Astrobot would be my 3. I think I haven't got to play Black Myth yet. I still plan to, so at some point I will be playing that. But again, like a lot of games, like there's just been so much this year. Like there's a lot of other mentions. I mean, you got like 𝐒𝐸 10, which I have not got to play yet, but I guess would probably be in my list. Yeah. Probably knock out Astrobot. But yeah, I mean, like there's been so many, like not even counting all the Nintendo releases this year, which somehow they maintained momentum with, like, because I would have to say, I mean, to be fair, like we've done like 3 streams of it. I love the game. Played it with my daughter, played it by myself. I do think that Mario Party's got to be in like my top 5 discussion for me personally of what I played this year, because I had so much fun playing that game, and it's not something I expected to love as much as I did. This isn't, best games of 2024, but this is just like of what I played. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. You enjoyed it as well. Mario and Luigi, I really enjoyed. So like if I did like a top 10, there would be a lot more games. So there's definitely a lot of special mentions for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. So
I need to go back and finish the game. The only one I was for sure on is my number 1 game, and that was Stellar Blades, the game that I had that came out this year, the one I had the most fun with.
The one I love, but I'm still stuck at a boss. Went back, tried to play it again the other day, just getting destroyed on the easiest difficulty.
It took like a few hours early on, but once I got into the game, I learned the combat and the bosses. I might die once or twice, but after that, I was able to get past the bosses.
This boss is just doing me in, man, and it sucks because it's like
stuck with
the one where you fight the girl from the beginning of the
Oh.
The first time you see her again, I don't know if you see her again after this, but it's the first time at least that you see her again.
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna say either way.
Where she turns into like the mutated.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't get past her.
It took once or twice, and then you kind of learn what you're doing, just learn the boss mechanics, and I got past it pretty quickly. I think I spent like an hour on that boss before I got past her, so it took me like 3 tries or something like that. She's one of the harder ones.
I've died so many times. It's not even fun. I can't even count.
I was innately like familiar with the combat and the mechanics of the game, and trying to remember at least a few of the combos that I used a lot.
My other problem is that I have a lot of breaks in between games where I'm like, I'm game hopping. I do that a lot. That's a problem I have.
Straight in like 2 weeks and beat the game or something like that. So I got to the game pretty quick, and that's all I was playing.
Bought the Nier DLC, and I haven't even been able to use it yet. I didn't know. I thought it was like an instant thing. I didn't know like, you have to get to a certain point in the game to be able to get it. Like I didn't realize that.
Into the game,
I haven't been able to get it.
You didn't have to go, and you have to go back to.
You have to have that tier or something, right, to buy it from the cart.
So you're far enough in the game, but now you have to buy the tiers and then go and buy the.
You have to buy the tiers. Okay, where do you buy them?
You find the tiers, and then those tiers.
Oh, okay.
Those tier flyers, you use those to buy the outfits.
How do you find those? Where are they just hidden in the game?
If you just Google where they're at, you can pull up a map.
Gotcha.
Okay. You have to. I'm pretty sure you have to find his shop first or something like that. I can't remember. You either find that shop first, or you can just find those. I don't think there's like a straight up quest for it. Or no, maybe there is. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I got like half of the outfits in like 2 hours or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we had a really good episode. I actually didn't expect to have as much to talk about today. I was a little worried, but we had plenty to talk about. Obviously, we probably could talk more because we didn't talk about any of the topics really. But that's okay.
One small thing, and then we go like 20 minutes on
15 minutes on TCG Pocket.
It's a good discussion. Sometimes we don't always do that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
The straight news stuff sometimes is good.
This was a really good episode. I'm super excited. I guess to close out, do you have any plans for 2025? Like anything, whether personally or content wise or whatever it might be.
I don't know what exactly is happening. All I know is I'm moving sometime in the summer of next year. That's the only that's happening for a fact.
That's huge. That's big. Yeah.
It happens.
Hopefully everything works out. What we talked about. That'd be cool.
Where I'm going after that, wholesale, completely up in the air. Don't know what's going on. I just know that's happening.
Could be in Europe sometime next year.
Who knows?
All right. Well, yeah, I guess you got anything else for? We got New Year's Eve coming up. I was trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to bring up for.
No, I mean,
we'll have another episode before then.
Into the regular thing for the Junction Network, kind of got off for about a week or so like that, but getting back into the swing of getting content out. And
yeah, you just dropped a new video tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so
I did drop one last Friday. So that was my mistake. Back on the regular schedule for the podcast, and then trying to get these extremely heavy, apparently edit heavy videos because trying to take a 12-minute video, and then you have a bunch of clips overlays, but they can't be more than like 5 seconds at the longest.
Wait, why?
Copyright reasons.
Clip overlays? I've never heard of that before. I've never had a copyright strike for as long as there's no audio. It's from my understanding.
Well, to avoid even dealing with the YouTube's auto detection, you want to animate clips more than 5 seconds long.
I've never heard of this.
You're pulling specific stuff from like episodes. 5 seconds is the limit before the auto detection may kick in and
for video.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's just being voiced over.
I thought it was just an audio thing. Okay,
so
I have to look into that.
Avoid the issue of even coming up and having to dispute it, whether or not your stuff's monetized, just to avoid the issue altogether.
Yeah.
If you keep it under 5 seconds, it avoids that problem, but that's extremely edit heavy.
Because you don't want to deal with that in the long run. I know there's plenty of videos that have been copyright striked. It's all been for audio on my end. As far as like the Game Junction stuff early on, like some of the videos we did, we had some stuff in there where it's gotten copyrighted.
Are dealt very differently. So
I got you. I got
So
you.
just to avoid certain things. So that's like where a lot of the headache comes in with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that kind of blows. More than 5 seconds. You really don't get to see the show because the last one you did, didn't you have?
Like if you watch an anime review, more often than not, you're not seeing clips for more than 5 seconds before it goes to something else.
You can like cut and show more again, then, right? Like if you're cutting in between.
Yeah, you just have to you're just constantly cutting, so the scene's always moving.
I gotcha. That makes more sense.
Like a continuous video.
Well,
in theory, you could do it and dispute it, or you're at the very least, best case scenario, it's just you just can't monetize the video. And the Junction Network's not even near to that. But to just avoid that altogether, you could just you have to just edit it to where the auto detection's not even going to be a problem for it.
My hope for 2024 is that Junction Network keeps doing well because it's doing very well. Your videos are doing great. And yeah, I mean, you seem like you have a pretty good time doing them. So I mean, that's cool. Definitely excited about all the stuff on that end. I've got
2025 is going to be good. I've got 400 level. My last 2 college classes are 400. So starting the first full week of January when those start, I mean, that's going to suck for the next 8 weeks, but as long as I don't fail those classes, I will have my degree.
Heck yeah, man.
Never will I ever take a college class. I hate it with a passion. Miserable. Worst decision of my life.
College sucks, man. School sucks. All of it sucks. I hate it. Not a fan.
But I can have that.
I may 2025 maybe going back to school again after just having done school last year.
I think I owe them like $3,500 or something like that in student loans.
That's it?
That's all I have. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I have way more than that.
I had to pay that out of pocket because I was trying to get it done faster. But
yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
There's certain benefits of having your school paid for.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool for sure. Yeah, 2025 is going to be huge for you then. That's going to be big stuff, man.
It's going to be a big year regardless.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Well, I'm really looking forward to 2025. Like I said, when we come back, it will be 2025. It'll be what, the 3rd or the 4th? I can't remember what day next Friday is, but yeah.
I think it'll be the 3rd.
Cool. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody watching live. If you are an audio listener, definitely check out the live show with us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or just check out, the video over on YouTube and stuff like that. We have a lot of fun doing it, so there's a lot more interaction and things like that. So if you check us out live, I think you'll probably enjoy the show as Mark's dancing over there. But yeah, hang out with us, like I said, every Friday Eastern Standard Time, or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we are live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, playing a different game every week. We always announce those on the socials, what we're playing, stuff like that. So anything else, Mark, to close out?
Yeah, no, just the Sunday streams getting moved to New Year's Eve. But other than that, everything should be, same as usual.
Cool. All right. Well, appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll see y'all later. Thanks again, Mr. Coffee. As usual, we appreciate it a lot. We'll see you guys all later.